Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Season 1 finale of Ember Squad with the streampunks. I wish we had gone live while Sam was pantomime beating the unholy hell out of a star.
Pantomiming, certainly.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to keep the announcements kind of short tonight because we got a big game to get through. Tonight's a big game, so I'm going to go ahead and just kick things off. Before I jump into the announcements, just to thank everybody so much for following along. I've also been reading some of the YouTube comments, so thank you so much for everybody who's been enjoying the hell out of the show and supporting QueueTimes and streampunks. This is a season 1 finale. It is our intention to come back eventually for a season 2, so stand by for that. But let's see, what else do we have? Okay, so first big announcement, obviously, is next week, October 3rd. It is being announced October 3rd, next Monday night. Spoopy season has arrived, which means it's time to do a new show. It's time to do a Spoopy show. October 3rd is the premiere of Beacon, our alien RPG that is also going to be a seasonal thing. We are launching that next Monday nights. Not really giving any kind of slowdown between campaigns. We're just jumping into the next one. So definitely tune in. It is going to be same bat time, same bat channel here on QueueTimes at 6 p.m. And you'll see some familiar faces and you'll see a lot of familiar guests. And yeah, so more information is coming out up on our coffee accounts and our Patreon. And you can also look forward to character reveals this week on socials. So that was my big announcement. There is one more. Sorry. Yes, there is actually an event coming up that we can now announce. The Streampunks will be taking part in Admiralty Day, which is going to be an event that's being hosted by Star Trek Online and Modifius. It'll be me, Sam DeLev, Bonnie Gordon, and Elisa Pearl, and we are going to be chatting Star Trek on October 15th at 3 p.m. It's all Pacific time. So stay tuned. Star Trek Online is the one that's kind of doling out the information on that. But we got asked to come do a chat, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're probably going to go down memory lane and talk Star Trek, and it's going to be good. So yeah, stay tuned for more information on that. That's all I've got. Does anybody else have any announcements that they want to jump into tonight? You guys have a show that returned, didn't you, Anita?
Yeah, we're coming back with Morning Ritual. I'm reaching out to the next slate of guests over the course of this week. So we should have a schedule up for that fairly shortly. Also, tomorrow, there's a Kickstarter dropping that it's Code Warriors. It's a Kickstarter from Craig Campbell, and I did the graphic design in the book. So if you want to help support me a little tangentially, you can check out that Kickstarter. I did the layout sort of things, and I also helped design a custom set of D8s that go with the game for all the dice goblins out there. So it's like a cross between like Mad Max and Reboot.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a member of the Campbell clan. I got to support my fellows. So, yep. Anybody else have anything else? Yes, Gina. No, Gina.
No. Over on the Crown Channel, I normally have a craft show that is currently in hiatus until its second season starting in November. But this week on Friday from 4 to 6 Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be guesting as a mentor on their cosplay show. So they have this really sweet competition show where they have really talented cosplayers that are sort of amateur level. They're not amateurs, they're very talented, but amateur level, and each week they have a mentor that comes on and sort of gives them a challenge and talks them through some techniques. So that's what I'm going to be doing this Friday. So come check it out and support the really talented cosplayers.
Yeah, right on. Okay, what time is that again?
4 to 6 Pacific Standard Time.
4 to 6. Okay, cool. All right, Quincy, what do you got? What do you want to say?
Well, on the nights that we don't play a Star War, we also play a Transformer on the Tuesday. It is from on the channel that Eric will say at the time that Eric...
Renegade. Yeah, Renegade Games. They have their own Twitch channel. So they aired at 5 p.m. Did we ever get the time down on that? I think it was 5 p.m. on Tuesdays. They also have, you can catch up on the playlist. If you haven't caught up on the episodes, you can catch those up on those on the YouTube channel for Renegade Games. And I highly recommend it because Quincy basically plays an Autobot that is like a used 90s sports car that named Sleeper, who just kind of like, yo. You're the Tech Sergeant Shen of that party. You're just like, hey guys.
It is heavily inspired by if the wrestler Orange Cassidy was a Transformer. So,
oh, that's too good.
I love
That's
everything
pretty
about that. I've got a thing.
Yeah.
So I am starting a new show in October called The Green Room, where I interview entire cast of actual plays, and they come in with clips to try and get more people to come watch their shows. And we're going to be starting with the Adam List from our friends over at The Welcome Inn.
Sweet. Okay. You can see it's like Sam's just slowly reaching for the draw. You can see the tumbleweed kind of blowing by the camera as Sam's hand goes down to the yeah. Yes, Sam, would you like to say something?
Oh, yes, I would, actually. Other than DMs of Mars I apparently have to slide into later. We are starting our show with the streampunks next week, and I nervous laugh because I'm scared whenever I think too much about it, but that is not the only time you can see me nervous laugh from horror, because here on QueueTimes, starting October 6th, I have also been brought into an Outbreak Undead game. I'm fine. This is fine. Everything is fine. The two things I know about that system are it is so crunchy you can break a tooth on it like crunching dice, and that system wants to kill you. Those are the two things I know. Jake, like QueueTimes Jake, is going to GM for me, and I'm very, 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 very excited about that. But that's not even my excited, because we're going to go to war with the stars. But the thing is, we already went to war with the stars today. Not the streampunks. NASA went to war with the stars, and we're going to be waiting for the data to come in. But it looks like we won.
We punched a big space rock.
Excuse me while I punch the sky, and you can go find out more about that on Morning People tomorrow, probably.
All right, y'all. Now that we know that October is the month to just absolutely wreck Sam, let's go ahead and jump into tonight's big season 1 finale of Ember Squad.
I'm so scared.
Welcome back. We have a big mission in front of us. Ember Squad has, for the past 24 hours, been on the planet of Vetriss, getting reconnected with the Rebellion. And just in time, too. The situation on Vetriss is desperate. This was a stronghold that had become a battlefield for the Rebellion versus the Empire. However, orders have come down the pipe that there has been a full withdrawal to the outer reaches of the Outer Rim, to an unknown location. One might assume it was the hidden base that y'all were originally destined for. Unfortunately, the Vetriss forces here are so entrenched they cannot pull out of this system without risking everything. They have been in a stalemate with the Empire. It has not been fun for the Rebellion here. Urban warfare for the past 3 weeks has started to whittle down both sides. But as usual, the Empire has the upper hand. They have more people, and they have, on top of more personnel, they have a lot more equipment. The Rebellion, to its credit, has been holding the line, but it's reaching a critical point. Thankfully, about the time that the tides have begun to turn is when Ember Squad showed up in the Poor Judgment. Reconnecting with the Rebellion here, you have learned that there is going to be a staged retreat soon. The ship that you are all very familiar with, the Rock Skipper, is scheduled to arrive in system to help cover the escape of the 2 transports that are trying to get off Vetriss. These are 2 MC-75, or I'm sorry, these are 2, yeah, is that not correct? I don't know. They're the big gray transports you see in Hoth. The big gray transports you see escaping Hoth. These transports are going to be moving everybody on here. It is I'm sorry, I misread it. It's the GR-75 medium transport. Personnel, equipment, all has to get on board. Everyone has to escape. Hundreds and hundreds of lives depend on it. A couple of companies of troopers are trying to delay the actions of the Empire. The arrival of Ember Squad has given the rebels a bit of an upper hand. You guys are the only elite special forces team that are on the ground right now. And so you're being tapped for all of the most dangerous missions. Today is the day when the big push is going to be made. The Rock Skipper is scheduled to arrive any moment now. It is not a secret that the Rock Skipper's arrival is also going to be a bit of a scrum. The problem is mostly that the Empire is also getting reinforcements. There has been intelligence reports coming in that Admiral Deleth himself will be reinforcing this system. That's bad. Admiral Deleth is in command of a Type 1 Imperial Star Destroyer. That thing is going to wreak havoc on this world. Everyone needs to get off as soon as possible, or there will be hell to pay. It's a race against the clock. What y'all's task now is, as it's being divided up between each member of Ember Squad, is being separated into teams. And Myth, you are being taken into the command center, which is actually over on one of the GR-75 medium transports, Transport Alpha, which is currently sort of functioning as a mobile command center right now. You're going to be placed in charge of coordinating Ember Squad through their various missions. The missions have been given, and they are very, very dangerous. Rec Team, that is Lon, Gran, and Tillo. Your mission will be to slip past the front lines of enemy, basically the enemy front lines, and destroy munitions, artillery, and supplies that are currently considered highly valued targets. That disruption matched with Hunter Team, which consists of MT and Narumno. You are a two-person team. Your mission is quite straightforward. Find some way of dealing with that one thing that's giving the Imperials a big upper hand. They have an ATST on the ground. That thing is wreaking havoc. The Empire already has artillery. That's bad enough. They have heavy weapons. That's bad enough. But it's the ATST that's turned the tide of the battle in favor of the Empire. It is a high priority target, and no one has the capability or really understanding of how this is going to be done. But you volunteered, and Narumno's not letting you go alone. The two of you are going to have to seek out the ATST and find a way to bring it down. Then we have Scrap Squadron, which is the scrappy name for the 4 fighters that are currently available to the resistance here on Vetriss. The rebels have 2 Y-Wings and 2 X-Wings, and that's it. It is what remains of the squadron that apparently was a part of whatever ship that was torn apart in high orbit above the planet some time ago. You all saw bits and pieces of that unfortunate vessel when you arrived. It wasn't alone, though. Apparently an Imperial ship was also destroyed in that attack. Presumably there's still a TIE fighter up. There's a TIE fighter carrier still in orbit around the planet somewhere, but y'all don't have any information about that. Stucky, you have volunteered to join Scrap Squadron, and you're being given an X-Wing. Your 4 fighters are going to have to achieve some semblance of air superiority in order to help cover the escape of the transports. Indeed, Stucky, it's going to be heavily dependent on you guys to ensure that those transports can get out of system. It's going to be easier when the Rock Skipper arrives. It's going to be a lot harder when Deleth arrives.
We should have this all wrapped up quick, faster than a jiffy.
But before all of y'all are engaging on your missions, long before the sun comes up, one of you will not be there when the sun rises. One of you has been given a very special task. The leader of the commanding forces here on Vetriss is Captain Desick. Captain Desick is apparently an Imperial captain who is on detached service from Admiral Deleth's Star Destroyer. Captain Desick is the target. Elias has been dispatched to take him out. You are a lone sniper, a team of 1. You are ordered to radio silence unless the most desperate of need or intelligence needs to be sent back. If you encountered intelligence to be vital to the survival of the withdrawal forces, that's the only reason to break radio silence. Otherwise, you are to make your way through enemy lines, heavily fortified enemy areas, find your target and eliminate him. And that is where we begin today's game. It is before dawn, and it is eerily quiet. The streets of Vesic are like a ghost town. And all around you, Elias, is signs of destruction, signs of the Empire and the rebels battling it out for weeks. Surprisingly, a lot of the civilian areas seem quite protected, and you don't see heavy damage done to a lot of civilian buildings. But there are certain districts when you go into, particularly commercial districts that you're moving past, where there's actually a lot of cover for you because of how much rubble has accumulated on the sides of the roads and the streets, as well as some of the sides of the buildings. It is that kind of quiet where the only thing you really hear aside from your footsteps is your own breath moving from vehicle to overturned vehicle to burned out structure to the next burned out structure. Elias, we're going to start off by rolling Destiny. Before we roll Destiny, though, I'm going to award everybody 1 + 1 wound. Everyone's duty score is going to activate for this session. So everyone gains +1 wound.
If we have +1 wound from last session, does that carry over?
No. It just,
okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah. Also, if you have any strain or anything else that was on you from last session, it's gone. So make sure to reset. Make sure you guys are all healed up. All right. Elias, start us off. Roll that white Destiny die, if you would, please. It's a good start. All right, then. Lon, if you would.
One moment. I clicked it and it didn't do the thing.
Lon, are you disobeying a direct order? There it
No.
is. Yay. All right. Myth, if you would, please. Okay. MT. There it is. Dark side. And Stucky.
Oh, come on. Every week.
Wow. 3 and 3. Curious.
Perfectly balanced, as
Okay.
all things should be.
Yeah. So MT, Myth. Sorry. Yep. Okay. We're going to start this off. Elias, if you would please make a stealth check. The difficulty is 3. But you gain 2 boost dice for the terrain. All right, Elias, keeping your head low, you easily manage to move from burned out structure to burned out structure. At one point, you pause when you start thinking you're hearing movement. You lay low for a moment. Gazing out of a destroyed building, kind of where a window used to be, you peek up over and look out into the streets. The streets here were once paved, but now they're mostly impacted rubble and scattered rock. The area you've entered into is now the front line. This is the combat zone, sometimes in classic warfare referred to as no man's land. You do not crawl through here or move through here unless you expect to be shot or possibly killed by mines or whatever else the Empire has waiting for you. Peeking out, you see what looks like a couple of citizens of Vetriss running across the street as quickly as possible with their heads low. You wait a few more moments to make sure it was an enemy. And doesn't look like it. With 6 advantages, you can spend if you want. That's a heck of a way to start. How would you like to spend your advantages for this?
Unless there's a particular narrative situational tool I can take advantage here, I'm gonna roll all 6 of those forward.
Okay. So then that to yourself, probably
next.
to the next allied dice roll. Okay. All right. You wait a few minutes. You hear what sounds like an animal, the equivalent of maybe like a roofing of some kind, like a bark, perhaps. Not necessarily a dog, but definitely some kind of pet. And then it gets quiet again. You can see this soft pinks and purples starting to crest the sky as the sun has started to come up. Make me a perception check.
Oh, good. The reason I wish I had saved some of this for myself.
Difficulty is 2.
That'll be a no from me, sir.
Okay. Thankfully, with your stealth check, you remain hidden. You using the butt of your rifle, you start picking yourself up off the ground, and Elias, you immediately duck back down as you hear this. You stay lowered for a moment, gain 2 points of strain as it barely not spotting you because of your stealth check. An Imperial probe droid moving down the street, its head just pivoting. This terrifying hovering droid just it pauses a little bit in front of your building, and you hear bang me bang bang just as it starts to communicate a little bit. The head just kind of swivels left and right. This weird spidery arms just kind of clawing around underneath it as it starts to hover, and after a few moments just it begins to maneuver away. Of course, why would the Empire risk personnel? They probably have those things crawling all over the streets right now. It's going to be a very difficult journey.
At least if they were going to send someone to no man's land.
All right. What do you do?
How? At what height was that drone? And what kind of roof or sparkcore potential do I see?
Yeah. The drone itself was on the ground. So when it passed by you just now, the droid seemed to be maybe about 30 feet from you. Enough that when you were pressed down against the window, if you had looked up, out, and around the corner, you might have actually seen its shadow from the dawn pass right over your window. As it moves away and like peeking out, you can see it maybe hovering about 5 feet above the ground. Pretty standard for an Imperial probe droid. The buildings around here don't look like they have too many accessible fire escapes or anything to use on the exterior to get inside of them. Some of them look like some of their doors have been blown out. A few of the buildings, though, are, despite the damage is done, stretch up 20, 30 stories. They are very large.
All right. I don't want any more surprises like that. I want to get tall up on a large boy real quick to try to get a sense of the bigger movements, like what is hot do I see, or maybe even get a sense of pattern, though myth would be better at that if I could. Well, she's still asleep right now, but I mean, like, later I could tell her, but I can't tell her. Because why again?
You've been ordered to radio silence.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's my plan. I'm going to go up to the top of something. And even if I'm not, like, I don't want to sparkcore anything that involves 20, 30 stories. That sounds like a bad idea. But at least a one-off get tall look around.
Okay. You do see a building that looks like the front part of it has blast scoring all over it. It has a wreck of some kind of vehicle out front. Gauging from what shape it's in, it might be a blown out Imperial hover tank of some kind. It looks like it's mostly a skeleton, like a heap. Score 1 for the rebellion. It's kind of peeled up backwards and out in front. When you make your way through the front doors of this building, you're crunching on glass and stepping on rubble moving into the lobby. You can see that this probably was a civilian building, but judging from the condition and the silence, it's probably been largely cleared out and emptied. However, there is still power in here. You can see flickering holograms of like advertising restaurants, which are likely blown to hell by now. But there's also a lift that looks like it's in operation. Otherwise, it's a 20-story climb to the top.
I share Sam's opinion on stairs. I would like to take the lift.
Cut 2. You inside the lift. You're just sitting there with this long rifle that's like leaning up against your shoulder as this music. And you hear aliens kind of that. You're just kind of sitting there
The
listening.
girl from Speepanuma. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A few moments later, you see the elevator just. The door opens up. Peeking out into the hallway, you see, again, it's the eerie silence. As you move into the hall, you can see what looks like a long corridor with multiple doors leading into apartment complexes. But what you're looking for is the emergency escape, which you do see a double door at the very end of the hallway that has it listed as roof access. As you move over to this door, you reach it and you see the power consoles flickering. And the moment you press it, you see words coming up on the screen as it kind of flickers, asking for an access code.
Is there glass?
No.
I'm not the hacker. Myth's the hacker.
There's some glass in the elevator, but there's no blown out glass here on the 20th. You can try if you would like. If you don't want to hack this thing, you could. It looks like the power is fluctuating. If you want to give it an attempt, you could try making a. Yeah, this would probably be an athletics check.
Yeah, it probably would be. Those go about equally well for me. What about the kind of mechanics check that's made with ranged light?
Give it a shot. Literally.
That's the idea.
Okay, you take a step back. Ranged lights, you pull out one of your trusty blasters that you use to destroy stormtroopers back on the Starstorm, and you pull it out and just kind of look away for a second, and there is a shower of sparks as this red bolt appears and slams into the console. Explosion of sparks. And you just see it. There's a blackened hole where there was a console. And the barrel of your blaster smoking as you just slide it back into the holster. Make an athletics check.
All right.
Difficulty is 1.
Any boosts from disengaging the electronic?
Disengaging the electronics is what made the difficulty 1.
All right, we take those then.
Yep. 1 success. You wedge your fingers in it. Push the door open. And you see what looks like an access stairwell with it looks like it also has ramp access moving up with what looks like a sliding elevator, like a seated lift. You see it also apparently has an entire blueprint of the building, like escape routes and whatnot. And then you hear a door close behind you. in the corridor.
Not the one I didn't just lock myself out.
No. One of the doors in the corridor behind you closes.
Is my door still open? What side am I on?
You literally just opened this thing up and you're looking at the stairs when you hear a door down the corridor that you stepped out into. Somewhere down the hall has closed.
All right. I'm going to step through very quickly, and it took force to keep this open.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to release that force with just the corner of my jacket into the door, so that it doesn't kablam. And who knows, if I'm lucky, I might even get a...
Okay. You just jam the little corner wedge of your thick jacket right into the door, and it goes... As it closes, there is a sliver of space you can peek out, and you just kind of like edge yourself up against it. Make a perception check, but the difficulty is 1, but you're going to get 3 setback dice because you literally have a sliver to look through.
Well, heck back dice.
You take a deep breath, gain a point of strain. As you look down the corridor, you see nothing. Nobody is there.
It's just air pressure. It was just air pressure. It's fine. It's fine. What's Ducky? I'm gonna take a deep breath, let it out, and I'm gonna go up that ramp to go take a look and show the world what I'm made of.
You tug on your jacket. The door is stubborn and wants to keep it, but you manage to jerk it free. Just make your way up a couple more flights of stairs. The door at top looks like it locks, but there is what looks like a latch that'll hold it open if you want it to be held open. It's automatic. You're just pressing the button. You push the door open. You step out into the crisp morning air. At this altitude, it's easy to see the columns of smoke that have drifted up. They're very faint this morning, not fresh burning fires, but the destruction done to the city, it doesn't look as bad as you thought it would. As you step out, glancing around and seeing where combat has happened, it looks like this city is going to recover from this. Is your first instinct as you're glancing out over at Elias. It looks like they should be able to put this back together. It's not good, but it's workable. Go ahead as you move about and try to get a plot of the land. Go ahead and make me a perception check, but I'm assuming you're using your rifle scope. Okay, so you're going to gain the bonuses to this, your blue dice. The default difficulty here is 2. You're also getting some morning lights. You don't have to worry about any dark penalties or darkness penalties.
I would like an ox boost, please.
Okay, our first ox boost of the day. Thank you so much, Guru Matt.
And how would you like to apply?
How much does it give you when you're
scope?
Gives you 1 or 2?
It's a difficulty downgrade, as I recall.
Okay, so if it's a difficulty downgrade, well, it wouldn't be a difficulty downgrade here for sure, because that would be like if you were up against a target. However, the good news is I actually have the gear out in front of me right now. So give me half a moment and I can tell you how I'm going to have this function. These are all weapons. Gosh, you're so bloodthirsty, game. Let's see, enhancements, scanning equipment. Cool.
No, I just do what I'm good at.
Okay. Normally, so it looks like binoculars basically would just remove a setback die. In this case, I'm just going to give you an extra boost die. Since we're rolling against a difficulty of 2. It's got to make your roll. Okay, and with advantage. I recommend using advantages to burn off some strain because you've been building that up. Yeah, So the first thing you do to test your scope, you kind of activate it and it goes, boom. The digital display immediately lights up on the inside, the soft green glow as you peer down into the scope. And you zoom in as you test to see the range on this thing. It's impressive. This is a full-on sniper rifle. As you're glancing down the scope, the first thing you see, which gives you your advantage, your minus a point of strain, is you aim the scope back the direction you came and you can see the rebel front line. You know that Ember Squad is right now waking up on the other side of that line. You kind of peek out from behind the scope and look again back the direction you came. It's about maybe 7 blocks away behind you now. But you can see the areas that have been designated the safe zone. You can also see off in the distance the faint curvature of the 2 transports that are just waiting for a safe travel out of the skies. It's enough to bolster you a little bit. You swivel the sniper rifle around. You see the horizon of the city move past, and you aim, according to your data pad, the direction of the Imperial base. And it's easy to spot. You see what looks like large section of the city that's about maybe 12 blocks from where you are. You can see that's where some of the damage, like a lot of the heavy fighting, has happened. And beyond that, maybe about 2 miles beyond that, you can see what looks like the designated places where the Empire has their garrison set up. In the distance, you can hear the faint sounds of like the city coming to life. It's unrecognizable. It could be cars, it could be transports, it could be the activation of war machines, but it's a gentle low hum. And almost like it's calling from another world, a world where there is no war or desperation or fear of death. You can hear, caring about their day as though they normally would in the quiet hours, birds chirping, a flock fly overhead, completely oblivious to everything that is happening here as nature continues to wake up around you. You take one last glance back at the base, and we swipe 2. Ember Squad, you're waking up. The base is alive and active. Everyone knows today they're leaving. They know that today the evacuation order has been given, and they know that they only have a small window of time. The rock skipper is supposed to arrive in a window of time of about 6 hours from now. No one knows precisely when. The only thing y'all know is the rock skipper is on the way and an Imperial Star Destroyer is on the way. The rock skipper stands no chance against an Imperial Star Destroyer. This is all delaying action. The base right now is alive. You see troop formations, people marching as quickly as possible in a jogging formation, guns being handed out, people checking their ration packs, med kits. Everybody is getting set up and ready to go. You see a couple of what looks like artillery pieces that are being set up near the lines. And it looks like a hard front line is being erected around the transports. MT.
Yes.
You haven't had to sleep at all tonight.
No.
You have just been studying, studying city schematics and downloading all the information that you're going to need in order to find your way to where the ATST apparently was operating yesterday. You're not sure what the status of it is today. Part 1 of your problem is going to be finding this thing, and part 2 is going to be trying to bring it down.
I have also put in an order for a laser cannon.
So then this is actually where duty score comes into play, because in Age of Rebellion, they incentivize characters doing heroics on behalf of the rebellion to gain the notoriety and duty score that they require in order to achieve a level of notoriety that the rebellion trusts them with all the big equipment. This is literally called the contribution rank. We haven't been following that very much because, truthfully, the exploits of Ember Squad have been effing heroic, to say the least. A contribution rank of 2 to 4 is tested soldier, a trusted collaborator, respected and trusted by the Alliance. You get access to better tactical level equipment and vehicles that warrant rank of sergeant or warrant officer. However,
Does it help if Narumno is the one that's going to be holding it?
well, Narumno has hers. She has her. The E-Web is capable of damaging an ATSD.
Okay.
Yeah,
It wouldn't
Only-
hurt to have a backup.
yeah. You are gonna. The truth is an E-Web. An E-Web is a heavy cannon mounted laser. It is designed to attack. It is designed to attack vehicles and frontline personnel. It's a bit like it's probably going to take a little more than that to get the job done. ATSTs are armored walkers, so it's probably going to take a little more than that, but it's a good start. However, what I was going to say though is the thing is Luke Skywalker's contribution rank to the rebellion was dick. It was like 0 because nobody knew who the hell he was. And then they put him in an X-Wing and he blew up the effing Death Star. So you can imagine his contribution rank probably jumped a little bit and didn't really coincide with the duty score. We are in a similar position with the Ember Squad. You guys destroyed the ISD Starstorm. You blew up an Interdictor class heavy cruiser on top of everything else you have done. So I'm going to give you a reputation among the Alliance starting as a contribution rank of 5 because I feel like that's appropriate. This would be a veteran soldier, important collaborator, very respected in the Alliance, gets access to Corvette gunship level starships or a minor strategic intelligence of lieutenant and captain rank. I'm going to say Narumno shows up as you're looking over logistics, MT. Narumno shows up next to you, and as you're kind of like scanning over the enormity of your task in front of you, Narumno sets something down in front of you that causes the entire tactical table that you're actually using that has like battlefield maps and whatnot on it, digital displays, like resources, all of the logistics of what's moving through the area. The entire table just vibrates from the heavy thudding sound. And you hear a Wookiee go, which you are able to identify as a Wookiee laughing their ass off.
I was reading that. But thank you. I'm going to try to pick it up.
Yeah, what you see in front of you looks like some kind of anti-vehicle projectile launcher of some kind. It might be the equivalent of a rocket launcher. It looks like it's an anti-armor gun of some kind. It looks heavy. It looks like the equivalent of one of those large guided missile launchers that straps up onto your shoulder. What is your brawn score?
My bronze score is a 3.
Okay. You reach down, your servos fight to get this thing up onto your shoulder. And it seems to fit. You kind of hold it steady there for a moment. Narumno says, looks good on you.
This has opened 3.2 more plan options.
Again, the giggle from Narumno. And Narumno says, you and me. 2-person army.
You and me.
Now, how do we find this thing?
I imagine it's going to make a lot of noise.
So should we move through the city with our ears open and just hope for the best?
I think we should take a slightly more tactical, safe route, finding shelter along the way, but I imagine, quickly, we will be able to spread the information that we are looking for the ATST, and it will present itself by causing the most destruction. We now have eyes in the air, thanks to Stucky. Maybe he will be able to give us coordinates when they take off.
He nods and says, or she just kind of nods to that and says, All right. We should probably coordinate with command then, make sure that we have air cover for this.
I believe Stucky has a different mission. But maybe if he finishes, he can join our 2-person army.
You hear a growling sound come out of Narumno. This is stupid. Why are they just sending us out to kill an ATST if we can't even find it? They should give us the intelligence. We should go demand that they at least dispatch one of the squadron fighters to give us eyes on the sky, see if they can't spot it before they go and do whatever else that they're supposed to be doing.
I see no harm in asking. Shall we?
You should do the talking.
I will.
And
I march straight forward to whoever I think looks the most in charge to tell me where the ATSD will be.
Okay, so you head over to the hub, which is inside the transport. When you move up this huge ramp that is large enough, the inside of this looks like those big military aircraft transports, where it is cavernous inside. This thing is huge enough to transport huge vehicles, lots of personnel, lots of equipment. People are loading these things up still. It's been going on for 2 days now, but you can see what looks like a couple of computer consoles up against the wall that have been set aside. Next to those computer consoles, you see 2 Bothans. You see Commander Linoto, and then you see Sergeant Myth. And they are both currently in a conversation with Lon and Stucky and the rest of Ember Squad as they're discussing what's going to be happening today. As soon as the 2 of you start moving up the ramp, first of all, everyone hears you coming as you're literally carrying artillery pieces and you're a droid and a Wookiee. Yeah. By the way, it is worth noting that at this stage, everyone knows MT. So all the personnel that are moving down the ramp, morning MT. Hey, what's up, MT? Go get him, MT. Everyone's just like great, like
Thank
greeting
you. Thank you. Thank you, coworker.
You guys move up to the ramp and you see Commander Linoto say, oh, good, just in time.
Were you expecting me?
We were about to get the rest of Ember Squad over here. I'm sure you know, and Tillo has probably informed everybody, that we've dispatched Elias on a very special 1-person mission. Unfortunately, it's classified and I can't give you any more information than that, but it's a fluid situation and that might change as the day goes on. Here's what we've got. The missions are pretty straightforward. Lon, Gran, Tillo, you're forming Rec Team. It's your job to go and basically cause havoc. We want you to blow up as many of the supplies that you can on the enemy line. Sabotage, destroy, annihilate, whatever you got to do. Make lots of booms. We're giving you a data pad that has an easy way into the battlefield that should be able to get around the worst of what you could expect out there. But just be aware, there are enemy sharpshooters in the city. There's also Imperial probe droids. So lay low. We're going to be giving you equipment as well. That's going to take us to Hunter Team. That's MT and Narumno. Y'all are going to be dropping us an ATST. We have a chicken walker that needs taken out. Y'all are going to be the ones to do it. And I can see you've already acquired some equipment. And she glances over at the rocket launcher you've basically got up on your shoulder, MT.
Yes. I look forward to enacting several of my plans and seeing which one statistically has the likelihood of succeeding.
Narumno immediately, unable to control her irritations, starts to like...
Oh, yes, thank you for reminding me, Narumno. We need access to the information of where the ATST is today.
Well... She exhales for a moment and says,
We have but 6 legs. We cannot just walk around and hope to find it, despite it being quite loud. I request that we have access to air information. Stucky, you will have access to an airship.
Yeah. It should be easy enough. If I spot it from the air, I can tag it for you. No problem.
Would that be acceptable? And I'm looking at the commander.
Anito is... She kind of seems to... She thinks about this for a moment. until finally she says, it is a vital mission. If our ground forces are going to stand a chance, we need to get the two of you in position.
Correct. Why are you hesitating?
Because I've come up with a better idea.
I'm
turns and looks at you.
listening.
She turns and looks at you, Lon, and says, I think we're going to come up with a better use of your talents.
I mean, I'm happy to blow things up if it's Imperial things.
How about instead of hunting for this chicken walker, we entice it?
I'm listening.
There's not going to be enough time to set up any kind of kill box for this thing, but we could draw it out by focus firing on one particular portion of the front line. Tactically, each time the chicken walker has appeared, it's been when reinforcements have called in to back up a failing front. If we can cause enough chaos and havoc, we might be able to bluff it out into the open. If we can do that and our two are in position, then we might be able to get these two the kill that they're looking for. We're going to need you to make lots of booms in a very sensitive spot, but it won't need to be behind enemy lines. I think what we should do, chaos and confusion.
MT opens a compartment on her lower right side and sets a document. And
Okay.
says, you are describing my third scenario of success. I have
She
been
smiled.
planning all night. I have several ways that we can defeat this chicken walker. I know what it's like. I am made from some of its parts. I know where it is weak.
She glances over at Tillo and Myth and says, the two of you are vouching for MT?
I trust MT's judgment.
So do I.
She's brought us out of quite a few tough scrapes.
She turns and looks back at you and says, MT, I'm giving you command of this mission.
I accept.
You hear Narumno say, she already had command of this mission. The Bothan kind of just shrugs that off and looks at the rest of you and says, all right, we're going to give you all the coordinates you need and do your setups. We're going to give you the targets you need. So go get yourselves equipped and move out. Stucky, report to your squadron. You're going to be getting orders as we go. And Stucky, hate to do this to you, but you're technically going to be the highest ranking pilot that we have up there.
Oh, yeah, I can take command of the squadron, no problem. There's really no way I can get Elias's general area.
I'll keep you posted.
They need a hot pickup. I just need to.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted.
All right.
The only signal we are going to be receiving from Elias is if the mission is accomplished.
See, that's the thing that unnerves me, because what if something goes wrong and they need help or additional firepower or somebody to do something spectacularly stupid? Like, that's...
You see the Bothan kind of stiffen up, and she walks up to you and looks up at you, Stucky, and says, the rebellion needs you today. Can you do this?
Yeah, I can do this, but Elias is the rebellion too, you know.
Then go out there and win this for Elias.
Yeah, take me to my baby birds. Let's see what we got.
She nods to you and then turns to you, Myth, and says, Myth, by recommendations of Sergeant Tillo, I'm giving you command of Ember Squad. You will be coordinating the unit's movements and activities throughout this entire mission. It's all on you.
Yes, sir.
She holds out a chip and hands it to you. Those are the full access command codes to the command base.
All right, Ember Squad, unless there's any more questions, let's get to work.
Now look at you being so official, boss.
I still outrank you.
Silo smiles and says, I guess they made it official. As he swivels around and rolls down the ramp. One by one, you all meet up real quick before dispatching to your various locations. You all form a circle. The only one who isn't here is Elias. Tillo looks at everybody and says, all right. I don't know. I don't really have any words here. I was never much of an inspirational speaker. Just when this is over, let's all get a drink. What do you say?
Sounds good to me.
Here. No one missed out on that appointment.
I've got an X-Wing, so I'll be early. Do you know, like, the engines on this thing? It's an XB model. Oh, my God. It's just... Sorry. Yes, I'll be there for the drinks.
Noir, you should notice too that on
I saw the tab.
You saw it? Yes, I gave you an X-Wing. T-65B X-Wing multi-role starfighter. You're welcome. Have fun.
I have an X-Wing.
All right.
I look forward to seeing all of you again.
I look forward to seeing you all again. You hear Elo go, see you all soon.
Good luck, coworkers. And
May the force, etc.
MT takes out Elias's favorite colored lollipop and places it down on the table. And just looks back at the group and says, for when we all get that drink, they do not drink.
I'll make sure they get it when they get back.
Thank you, Myth.
And for the record, MT, you're not like one of those chicken walkers. You're better, so you better come back.
I am indeed much better. I know how to tell jokes.
And I have to say, you look wonderfully terrifying with the rocket launcher. I'm glad I'm your friend.
I kind of do a quick shoulder pose, modeling it.
All right.
I won't let you see how scared I am.
I'm happy to be your friend, coworker.
Oh God, we are totally getting the Legolas Gimli scene right now, aren't we? Never thought I'd die next to an elf.
I'm not afraid.
Yep. All right, y'all. One
You
by
finally
one.
get a real joystick that wasn't soldered from a different ship.
You climb up on into the cockpit of this X-Wing starfighter, Stucky, and as you move up the ramp, you see, just as you get to the top, you look over to your right and you see an R2 unit being lowered into the top of the X-Wing, and it goes.
Okay, yeah, it's fine.
It'll make you fly faster knowing that thing's behind you.
Yep, that's kick the growth.
Gets lowered in and plugs into the system. You see a couple of the fighters next to you of Scrap Squadron immediately just kind of giving you a salute as you see people crawling into the Y-Wings. You do notice that one of the Y-Wings unfortunately does not have enough people. There is no gunner. So he crawls in just with a forward arc. You guys know that you're kind of outgunned, but you also, Stucky, your orders are to remain grounded until air forces arrive, and then you cover the city. You are not to engage ground forces for fear of any collateral damage. So no strafing runs, no attacking Imperials on the ground. It's urban warfare. The rebellion doesn't want it. So you kind of are going to be like at the end of Top Gun, you're kind of Maverick sitting in your pilot seat right now, listening to all the chatter going on of everybody else getting into the action as your engines start coming online. And Stucky, it is, you can see the R2 unit talking to you going, hi, I actually don't have a designation beyond R2, but if you want to name me, I'm open to that.
How about I name you? I don't know. MC.
Unusual designation. Does it stand for something?
It's close to the name of a friend of mine. It'll make talking to you easier.
Understood. I will adapt the designation MC.
Can I talk to the? Can I patch myself in to talk to my new squadron?
Yeah. You hear like a flip as the frequency changes in your ears, and you are connected to the squadron, and you can hear they're in the middle of laughter as some banter is going on. You hear one of them saying, "I guess we're just scrap 1, 2, 3, and I guess I'm scrap 2, aren't I? You sound like scrap 2."
So found out that I'm probably scrap 1 today.
You're scrap 1, sir.
Cool. And is this line just us? Or can it be overheard by intelligence?
You hear a woman say, "This is Squadron Channel."
All right. So, first things first, nice to meet all of you. I'm Stucky of the Ember Squad. I guess I'm supposed to give you some kind of big speech thing being the squadron leader, but I don't got that. What I do have though is the ability to fly my ass off and a reason to do so. So I hope you all brought that with you.
You hear some laughter on some of the other pieces of the comms, and you hear one of the fighters go, "Yeah, oh yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to turn this thing on. Be right with you, scrap 1. I think it's this one. Okay. You hear the woman's voice go, "Sorry, sir. I don't know if he's joking or not. Honestly, the way he flies, it's possible he's never turned on his own plane."
Well, at least he's got a fitting title. If he's being serious. Listen, we all have our orders. We take the sky back. No urban combat. We just clear the way for the rock skipper and haul ass if the destroyer gets here. But fly with your conscience.
Understood.
Oh, and it's the big red button.
Oh, good. I was about to press something that said, what is this? Ion cannon, something like that. I can't read this correctly. And you one by one, all the engines begin to warm up on Scrap Squadron as the computers come online, data readouts, diagnostics. You flip switches as the X-wing comes to life. This thing has seen a little bit of action. You can tell just from the scrapes and like tears on like the seat. It needs to be a little bit repaired, but Stucky, it's a good shaped ship. This is your first fighter. You just flipping on all the switches. You can feel this thing humming to life as it comes up. And as it goes active, you immediately see linked into your comms your squadron channel. You are immediately connected to Myth, who is also in on Squadron Channel. Myth, you're going to have full access to everyone's comms in Ember Squad moving forward. So you're going to be able to hear
Except one person.
What's that?
Except one person.
One person.
We're all bitter.
All right.
No, I'm scared.
Tillo and Gran, Lon, the two of them meet up with you as Narumno and MT head out of the base towards their designated coordinates.
Is Lon coming with me?
Lon isn't coming with you. Narumno is coming with you.
We're just doing the support work for...
Y'all are going to be coordinating, but y'all are going to be separate teams. So you're
understood.
Yeah,
but I can communicate with Lon to...
Oh, yes. You guys...
Okay, great.
Yeah. And Tillo looks at the two of you and says, "All right, everybody. So we've got our designation here. Essentially, there's a couple of marked buildings that the Empire has been using for covering fire on the front lines. It is on the other side of no man's land. We've got to get to it. Our objective is to cause all kinds of hell. So here's what I had in mind. And he sets down a data pad, and there is a heavily damaged Imperial hover tank that they have been using as a turret placement. The tank itself is still in operation, but it can't move, and they can't get engineers over there to repair it. So they've been using it as just a turret placement to keep the rebels from making any kind of mess. We're going to blow that up. That's going to puncture a hole in their front line. When that happens, you can bet your Wookiee ass they're going to send an ATST straight to our position. No heroics when that happens. When the chicken walker shows up, that's all Narumno, and that is all MT. We do not have the weapons to take that thing on, all right? So I want a full retreat. Sound good?
What other mechanized defenses are we expecting here? Because you two, I think, are probably a little bit better at shooting down any soldiers and sharpshooters that should come our way. I want to make sure that any probe droids or locks and such preventing us from getting further are taken care of.
Well, keep in mind, Gran immediately pats his belt and says, you're looking at someone who's quite good with ion grenades. Quite good.
Ion weapons. Sounds like a good idea. I kind of want to requisition some before we head out.
None left. Sorry. But
what ordnance are we getting here?
Well, yeah, MT already had the nice rocket launcher, but I managed to secure this. And you see Grant lift up with all of his strength onto a table and click, click, and opens up a case. And you see what looks like an FC-1 Fletchet launcher anti-vehicle gun. He looks at this and goes, we have one of these. I don't know how to use it.
Anything I could strap on instead of try to shoot at something?
You could strap that on and bend over, and I could shoot it off the back of you. It'd give the Empire quite a thing to pause over, huh? Seeing you do that. They'll be like, what are they doing over there? And then bam.
I just silently eyeball over to our commander.
Tillo looks at him and goes, knock it the fuck off. Gran says, yes, sir. He says, all right, here's what we're going to do. We'll take this with us. Gran, I don't even know how you acquired that because I know you don't have the ranking to do it, but we'll get to that later. The two of us will have this in the backup. Worst case scenario, this will go to our Wookiee friend or our droid if things go south. But unfortunately, we're out of equipment. The rebellion's running low on supplies here. That's why we're going to need you, Lon. You're good at improvising when it comes to making things explode, so do what you do.
All right. How much time do we have for me to piece together explosives, grenades, something that goes boom?
Maybe 30 seconds.
Well, we'll figure it out on the fly, right, Elo?
Yep, no problem. Lon's blowing a lot of stuff up. Things that you didn't think could blow up because of Lon.
All right. Some of that was because we were doing work stoppages. So
one of them was a cooking device. I think it was a stove. Maybe an oven?
We'll keep an eye out for some stoves and ovens then, Elo.
Yay. Which literally translate in droid as and Tilla says, all right, let's go. Let's not let Narumno and MT get too far ahead of us. And the four of you break out into a jog, heading off into the direction with Tillo taking point, just rolling right out of the base and heading to the main street. One by one, you watch, Myth, as the communication signals. You see your squad. Little dots on a digital map in front of you, monitoring them. You see them heading out to their positions. You also see some reports coming in of the Imperials on the move right now. They're getting an early start too, apparently. No intelligence coming in because you don't have eyes on where the artillery pieces are coming or where the Imperial units are at right now. But they will probably be pushing as well. Knowing that the Imperial Star Destroyer is on its way in system, they're likely staging the same sort of frontal attack that you guys are. All you can do now is suffer the burden of being a commander and not be in the action. All the people you care about right now are little dots on the screen, and they're heading into the maelstrom.
In anticipation of this, Myth has picked up a couple new tricks.
Okay.
And one of them, Myth has managed to encrypt all the transmissions going in and out of the rebel base, because there was a little bit of a hint that Myth had that someone might have been listening in. And she wanted to lock that down. So I took encoded communique in the talent tree. So the difficulty of checks to decrypt coding communications without the proper cipher is now equal to my rank in computers.
Which is?
It also got an upgrade to 3 proficiency checks.
Okay, so... Okay.
That's my quarterback.
So you said 3?
Yes.
So you're... Okay, so 3 yellow dice total.
Actually, sorry, I've got 4 ranks total.
So
but
3
I do
yellow,
have 3 yellow dice, yes, and 1
and
green.
1 green. So that's going to be... All right, so I'm going to roll this now. Okay. That is an encrypted channel. With that, the Battle of Vetriss is set to begin. The pieces are moving onto the board, and the enemy units are assuming their positions. We are going to stop here early for our break. So let's take 10 minutes, y'all. Get some water, hydrate, and when we come back, the Battle of Vetriss will begin. See you in 10.
Emotions.
Welcome back to Ember Squad, and welcome back to the front lines, Elias. I need you to make me a stealth check.
I would like an Ox boost, please.
Okay, this Ox boost. Thank you, Ox crew. You're helping Ember Squad big time today. Thank you, Aether Spoon.
What's the difficulty?
This is going to be a difficulty. This will be a difficulty 2 check.
Okay. Also, folks, help me remember all those other advantages from before. Still roll into the next person who rolls, because I'm rolling. Not well, as we see, but I'm rolling.
Don't forget we get a free boost in general as well.
Mm-hmm. Granting y'all a free boost die. Okay. So Elias, you're at this point, you've done an excellent job maneuvering around some of the more crowded areas where you've heard a lot of movement from. Stormtroopers are not quiet. And you have moved through a couple of blocks where stormtroopers are in formation on the sides of the street. True to the Imperial fashion, they are treating this like they are brazenly moving to the streets, not looking for cover or anything like that. Stormtrooper squads are basically divided up into 6-person units that are moving corner to corner. You've encountered a few of them and managed to lay low. You dash across the street and laid low for a second across a large piece of rubble, and looking up at the sky, you can see it is light out now. Any advantage you had to move in pure daylight is gone, or in nighttime is gone, and now you are having to navigate the fact that you're out in the open. To make matters worse, the buildings around here are also quite large, and your imagination is lit up with the images of you in your head of sharpshooters in some of the taller buildings looking down on the streets below, waiting for somebody to be silly enough to stick their head out. That's what you would do if you were trying to protect the front line. Using that knowledge as best you can, you have been avoiding all of the spots. You peek out, glance, and ask yourself, where would I set up? What's a good exposure spot? What's a spot I wouldn't anticipate? And move, and move, and move. You come to a corner where it looks like it is an intersection that has been piled up with burned out vehicles. Your instinct when you see this corner, these speeders that have been all piled up on top of each other, probably created deliberately. Wreckage was probably dragged over here and set up as sort of like a cover spot or a kind of stop point. You glance around, not seeing anybody, and move down into an alleyway. When you reach to the end of the alleyway, you can see it opens up into five, looks like a 5-foot space that is available to you that widens out into a 4-way cross of alleys in front of you. So like this little square, and then it opens up into more alleyway to your left, right, and front. So it's like a north, south, east, west kind of situation. An open sky dungeon crawl, if you will. After you take the path that is taking you into the direction that you're supposed to go, as you're moving into the corridor, a door opens in front of you and a scout trooper just simply steps out, putting their belt buckle back on. They literally take a step right out, and their head they swivel up and look at you as the two of you stop and see each other, literally maybe 15 feet apart. And the scout trooper freezes. They're literally, it looks like they were probably doing some business or something and are literally putting their armor back on. Looks like this scout trooper was in the middle of clipping their weapons belt back onto their armor, and they freeze when they see you.
How far are we from the main street?
You'll be heard. You're certain of it.
How far am I from the next corner?
Maybe about 70 feet.
Can't have my back to them that long. Do I hear anything behind him? Where he came out of? Difficulty?
Difficulties 2.
All right. I'm rolling in one of those 2-for-1s for a boost die, and then the third for a strain.
Okay.
Before I restrain myself.
You can hear noise, but you don't know how far away it is. Oh, wait, you got 1 success. I was reading your old roll. Mm-hmm. 1 success, 1 advantage. Doesn't sound like anybody's too close by. You don't hear a lot of noise coming up and down the streets, and you don't hear the sounds of any Imperial probe droids.
Nero would be so much better at this. I'm going to run him right back into the door he came from.
Roll initiative. Cool versus his vigilance.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is you're going to go first. You beat him by 1 advantage. The scout trooper is taken completely by surprise and also is fumbling with their belt, of which their holster and their blaster is currently hanging from. They literally have to let it go to try to grab it. It is awkward as hell. They spend way too much time grabbing for that thing. If you want to do a brawl check to tackle them, you can. And whatever it was, if you're going to try to push them into the door, what were you
Does he not have his belt all the way on yet?
No, he was literally fast.
I'm grabbing his weapons.
Okay.
I'm grabbing his weapons and running.
Okay. In which case, Elias, I would say make me a... Ooh, is this going to be... Oh, man.
Is this coordination?
Yeah, I think this is a coordination roll. Make a coordination check. It's going to be against their coordination, and I'm going to give them a setback dice for this because they are in a terrible position right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead and roll.
Okay. I think I just kind of have to go for this. Yeet! Yeet!
Holy hell! Yeah, there's no reality in which they could ever beat that. You storm forward and push this guy back. The scout trooper, you can hear the voice on the other side of the comm. Just go, this is the grunting sound as they go slammed up against the wall. Their belt drops to the ground. You reach down and just grab their blaster, and you run. You start running. Hey! And they don't give chase. Are you running in the direction you were supposed to going, or are you running in the opposite? Which way are you running?
My grandmama taught me that 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 lefts do.
Okay.
I'm doing that.
You're going to turn left 3 times and circle around?
Mm.
Okay.
I'm just going to take corners so that it isn't, the world's most obvious, but we're going the same way ultimately.
All right. You immediately reach what looks like the mouth of the alleyway, and as you just run out into the light, make me a stealth check and give yourself a setback die. Difficulty is 2.
Thank you.
Yep. You run out into the open with this stormtrooper shouting after you. And as you run out into the alley, the first thing you do is you run without even looking at which way you're going. You come to a skidding stop as an Imperial hover tank pulls right past you, maybe 10 feet in front of your face, as it just goes. You can see up on the turret, looks like a naval commander in the gray chest plate armor looking in the opposite direction of you. The scout trooper's voice is buried by the sound of the hover tank moving past you. They don't see you. Immediately you turn left and run just as that scout commander up on the top, the naval commander, turns and faces forward again in the turret as this hover tank just moves past. You dash down the street and immediately take another left right into the alleyway and come to a stop. And then go again, dashing down the alleyway and taking another left coming around the corner. You've now run about 140 feet, Elias. You reach the end of that corner, and down to your left is the alleyway you were in when this whole mess started. You see it also about 70 feet down. You gonna go? Take your third left?
Yeah.
Okay, you dash towards the alley you had just left. Make me a stealth check. Difficulty is 2.
I don't have anything I can put into that 1 advantage, I don't think. Yeet.
And as you come running into the alleyway, you stop and see the scout trooper is flanked by a second scout trooper. This one has their belt on, and the scout trooper is looking down the alley and pointing in the direction you went. They went that way. I saw them go that way. They took my gun. Why did you tell me? Why didn't you get on the comms and let them know that there was a rebel behind enemy lines, you idiot? Immediately gets on the comms and goes, Case, this is... Roll. You immediately pull your blaster. Take your shot. The difficulty is 1.
Maneuver to true aim.
Do it.
Yeet. Oh, the other 6 are also rolled over to boosts, the ones from before.
You one-shot him in the back of the head just as another hover tank is going by. Nobody hears the blaster shot. The stormtrooper crumples to the ground before they can get the activation on their wrist to contact command. The unarmed stormtrooper sees their commander fall to the ground and immediately raises their hands.
Back inside. Shut the door.
Takes a couple of steps back. Goes up, and in back into the building, and goes, ding, and the door goes, shh.
I'm gonna stomp on the comms on the wrist. the guy of the commander.
Sparks underneath your heel.
I'm gonna move up just a little more slowly this time. That was the second hover tank. I don't know whether or not hover tanks are like bad things, but in case they come in threes, I'm just gonna give myself that one quick moment to
Glance left and right. Glancing left and right, you see no further, but 2 hover tanks. That wasn't in the intelligence briefing. They must have just mobilized these, maybe saving them for a rainy day. The only intelligence you've received is that the only armored vehicles that they have at their disposal right now is the single ATST. 2 hover tanks is a big sway in their favor.
It is. Hang on. I'm making my way
Well done.
toward.
Nice self-control. I appreciate you.
You could see the discipline check in real time.
Yeah, I could see the discipline check.
Toward the back lines. They were headed where I was going.
No,
Where did they come from? Where did they go?
Yeah, so it looks like they're actually coming from the direction you are going to, and it looks like they are mobilizing towards the front.
All right. Then that means this is probably gonna be a higher traffic route than I had planned on. Are there any contingency routes I can see if I got way up there?
Possibly. Do me a favor and make a what role should I have you make for this? I might make you
Survival.
This is going to be a streetwise, but
No.
I'm going to give you 2 bonus die because you got topside and got to see a little bit of the city. Plus, you've got the data pad with you, so I'll set it at a difficulty of 1.
I also have those 5 advantages. I'd like to roll them in on a 2 for 1.
Okay, roll them in on a 2 for 1. Oh yeah, this is going to go well for you.
Eric!
Oh, sorry.
Why would you do that to me?
Because I'm the Empire right now.
Always were. I'm rolling the triumph into an upgrade too, just for that.
Okay.
I don't trust my luck.
Upgrading your next die. Okay, do it. Yeah, good. Okay. So, Elias, you plot a very quick course. If they're mobilizing their armored vehicles, then there might actually be an opening. There might actually be a gap in their line. You might be able to find an easier way in. It looks like they're all kind of putting their eggs in one basket. So you dash out of the alley in the direction that you're headed. And that is going to be the last moment of calm before the Battle of Vetriss begins. Gradually, every single one of you starts to hear the sounds of combat erupting in the city. On comms, anybody who is listening to comms on the rebel side, you start hearing, we've engaged the enemy. They're on the city block C6 right now. City block C6. You can hear like explosions in the backgrounds, detonations going off. And now I'm going to roll on the mass combat table. This is going to be Imperial forces are pushing up against the rebel lines right now. So this is going to be the Empire. Let's see. So for anybody who's curious about the mass combat rules, you can find them in a couple of places. First of all, mass combat can be found in the leader, I believe the command career tree. They have their own, the leadership tree has its own career, basically. You can find some stuff about mass combat in that. I use the mass combat rules from Onslaught at Ardo 1, which, if y'all are familiar, this is the throwback to the rules that I used when I ran Sam on their very first Eric Campbell RPG back in the day. So the way this is going to work, I have built dice pools that factor in the size of Alliance forces and troops and factors in the leadership and tactical strength of the leader involved. I've done the same with the Empire. Dice rolls have been upgraded accordingly, and I have given both sides 2 setback dice because it's urban warfare. So cover everything else that's going on. Yes.
Is this the next allied roll?
Technically, yes, because this is an NPC's commander check.
11. I socked away 11 for them.
Well, remember, dice go away after the roll. You can bank them, but after the next, if
no one else
turn
has
is
rolled yet. I've rolled and put them toward the check a couple times.
It's to the next allied player, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And no other players rolled at all.
So then you can spend those on the next allied player, but not NPC.
Okay, that was all I was asking.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. In which case, I'm now going to make a roll for the Empire. The Empire is going to get their commander, who is being hunted right now by Elias, is getting 2 greens and 4 yellows for their forces, as well as 2 setback. They are rolling against 3 purples and 1 red.
We can add another red because of my plucky attitude, right?
If you want to spend a light side point.
You know what? That's okay. It was worth the shot, y'all.
All right.
It's not a bad thing to spend a light side point on, honestly.
Oh my goodness. The Empire overestimated the rebellion yet again. 1 failure, 3 advantages. So I'm going to refer to the mass combat rules to find out what I can spend those advantages on. I can activate a unit disables an important piece of enemy hardware, destroying heavy weapon, or a piece of equipment that provided the enemy a force and advantage in the battlefield, or I can activate an enemy unit and upgrade 1 die in the next check. So I'm going to activate those armored hover tanks. You guys start hearing coming in, there's more than an ATST. There are 2 hover tanks that are also patrolling the cities and that are being engaged in the battle. You all hear that coming through comms. Narumno hears it and looks at you immediately, MT, as the Wookiee looks deeply annoyed. Just,
MT wordlessly just takes out one of the data pads and like that and throws away 3 of her plans.
just toss them. You just toss them over a bridge. They just fall in the water. You're like, up ahead, as y'all are kind of flanking to the streets, rebels are, when they're not fighting in the front lines and blowing things up, they're dashing through corridors, moving through the streets right now, staying low. That's going to take us to Lon, Gran, and Tillo. Right now, the 4 of you, no, it is the 3 of you. The 3 of you are currently moving through the streets. Tillo is your quietest mover right now. Tillo just basically, no one can move as low and as fast and as quiet as Tillo. So as y'all are moving through the streets, you and Gran have been taking to the corners, and Tillo basically just leans down and just rolls and just quietly just down the street comes to a stop and just signals you all to go. You all moving down the street, Tillo looking left and right again, rolls. You all have been doing this to exquisite effect. You have avoided 2 squads of stormtroopers as Tillo has just been moving quietly, quickly. When you all reach one of the designated areas where you were looking at possibly trying to route out the ATST, you can see across what looks like a very large bridge, the hover tank that was destroyed is currently been reinforced. It looks like it has rubble that's been put up next to it. You can see a couple of stormtroopers is out there. You can also see that the turret is swiveling left and right, guarding the street that y'all are on. You haven't been spotted yet. The bridge, by the way, in question, make me a perception check.
Plus 11.
Okay.
What?
Perception check is going to be a difficulty of 1.
You say plus 11?
Yep.
Plus 11 dice.
Tell
Plus
us, what do your LFI see?
4, 5, 6,
Blood has been spilled this night.
10, 11. Against 1 difficulty, Eric?
That's correct.
Okay, great. I imagine that Elo's just like all range mode right now.
Yeah. Elo just pulls out the Palantiri and just goes, 8 successes and 4 advantages.
I'll roll the
all right.
forward. I will pay it forward.
Here's what you see. that bridge is heavily enforced. It is going to take serious weaponry if you decide to try to take that bridge down. You don't think you're going to be able to do that with what you've got. However, what you can tell is that hover tank looks largely intact. It looks like it just can't move. That tells you there's probably ordnance on that hover tank.
I signal to the others, like, with quiet hand signals, basically, like, inside ordnance, we gotta seize it.
Gran leans forward and whispers, he kind of squats down and says, I bet you anything. If we can commandeer that hover tank and lay low, stay in hiding until the ATST shows up, us, plus our friends with the big guns that are going to be backing us up, I bet you we all take that ATST down. NT shooting it up from the sky, followed up by a very big angry Wookiee, followed up by us on the ground shooting this thing with a tank.
How far is the sergeant also nearby, or has the sergeant rolled on?
Tillo's right next to you guys. Tillo goes, that's great, Gran, but that doesn't solve our problem of how the hell do we get the ATST here if we're not blowing something up. I don't know. You're the sergeant, but it's a shame to waste that. And he looks lovingly at the hover tank that's about 300 feet away. And he goes, think about it. Think of how much fun it's going to be to sit in an Imperial gunnery turret and destroy Imperials, huh?
I say, either way, we don't have a solution to either get in there or how we get the attention once we do. We need to solve one problem at a time here.
So how do we
choose to blow it up if we seize it?
Let's ask Myth. Maybe Myth can give us some direction. Maybe Myth can redirect some forces in our direction. Maybe we can. Let's ask Myth. Gets on the comms and says, Myth, it's Tillo. Do you read me?
Loud and clear.
We're right next to the stopping point. We have the hover tank in sight. We do not have eyes on MT. We do not have eyes on Narumno. We think they're both in position. We haven't checked in with them yet. We are debating on trying to commandeer this tank.
Could definitely be a boon in our direction if we manage to take it successfully.
The problem is we need to successfully take it, and we need to still lure the ATST out.
Is there any way you could commandeer some of the ordnance? Just enough to make a little bit of a boom. Improvise something.
Okay, I have an idea. I'll let you know. Clicks it off. Make a leadership check, if you would, please, Myth.
I would love to.
Difficulty is 2.
+4.
+2, you mean? No, it is +4 because it's the next player. Yep. +4 blue dice.
2 +4 blue dice.
Yep.
Okay. 4
6.
successes, 6 advantage. I'd like to roll that over.
Okay. All right. 4 successes, 6 advantages. There's a couple of squads that are in the area that if you guys wanted to make a lot of noise there, they could do it. And they could back them up. It's possible. Y'all may not need to sneak to grab that tank. It's possible you take it by force. The key with that leadership role, the key will be disabling the tank long enough for you to clear the bridge. The way to take that tank, it would take them all afternoon to find a way across the bridge to get to the tank. And then you risk them being spotted if they try to sneak up on it. Or you can have them storm the tank. If you're going to do that, they need to disable with some kind of ion weaponry. And then they're going to have to charge the bridge. And that's going to be where things get bloody.
Ember Squad, come in.
Yeah, we're here. What do you got?
We've got a couple squads nearby that can come help you take that tank by force.
You guys all see Tillo. Lon, Gran, both you see Tillo just go, shit, she's right. Okay.
I go, wait.
Copy that.
We're already using explosions to draw attention, am I right?
That's right.
And we are a little low on ordnance right now, correct?
Got some ion grenades.
Great for disabling things, not great for making actual structural booms. But what if they don't know it's a real explosion or not? Can we
Okay.
put an explosion sound around the corner to draw these squads away? Get our own troops in time to flank him, and we can make our way into the tank with weaker forces here while they're on a wild goose chase. It won't give us much time.
It gives
But
you an
it'll-
opening.
You can do that.
If I spend a light side point, maybe.
Get to it
Hello.
and make it fast. Elo goes, "Yep, we're fast."
We're going to pump up your speakers a little bit, all right, Elo?
Okay. Do I get to get loud?
You're going to be very loud, and you're going to get out of there right away. You understand?
Understood.
All right. Let's add a little bit of bass to these things.
Gets on the comms and says, "MT, do you read me?
Empty here.
We're about to light the street up. So get ready. We're going to cause a lot of noise to make it look like all hell's breaking loose. Myth has already directed 2 units to come back us up for when the firefight starts. But we're going to try to lure them across the bridge to engage us."
When the units arrive, can you have them bring cables?
Cables. I'll
If
see.
if the ATST at any point is suspicious, we want to make sure it cannot get away. We should lay it across the streets. Trap it.
I hope they
Ankle
have that
or knee height, preferably.
It's a pretty brazen idea, MT, but if we can pull it off, we'll try.
Has that ever worked ever?
We'll find out. I can get pretty weak at the knees during combat.
Tilla looks at you and says, "Walkers are not known for falling easily. They're specifically designed to try to prevent that from happening. Those legs can literally kick over a tank. But we are talking about MT.
You'd have to wrap around those things like 3, maybe 4 loops before those things will fall over.
No.
We don't need it to fall over. We just need it to have difficulty running away.
She's right. All right, let's set this all up and make it fast. All right, I'm going to need some rolls from everybody.
Do you want me to spend a point, or am I doing a roll to do this, or both?
You're probably going to need to spend that light side point to get the cables that MT is talking about.
But not for the sound distraction thing?
Nope.
Okay.
In which case, I would say Elo is just going to take 2 points of strain
Oh, no.
to their systems. Okay, so, but if you want the cables, I'll give it to you for a light side point. Okay. So, about the time 2 backup squads, 12 troopers total, show up on the street, you guys have been here for about 20 minutes, and it's getting to that point where you're getting agitated. It's the curtain's about to go up here. Ember Squad hasn't seen any action yet that you're aware of, and that this is the big push. A few moments pass when you see you getting signaled from across the street, the squad showing up. And then eventually just down the street, you can see on the high-rise building on the 12th floor, it takes you a moment, but you see a flickering of light coming from a Wookiee that signals where MT and Roar have set up. Off in the distance.
I
the
want to be
stormtroopers are
under.
oblivious. What's up?
I want to
What's
be. I
Ground side?
I want Narumno to be and I under. I want basically the ATST to be able to have to find a shelter point where the ATST walks over us. Essentially.
Okay, so y'all are on the first floor then.
Yeah.
So y'all are down on ground level. So that actually works even better because y'all will be able to help sandwich any stormtroopers that come through here.
Yeah.
Neru has set up her E-web in the window. She's got the barrel just kind of leaning up against the side. So if she needs to, she can just literally just prop it up and use it as a stand. I'm going to go ahead and, since the plan changed, because Lon changed the plan up, I'm going to instead switch that leadership role that Myth aced to a role of getting the squad set up and in position. And I'm going to have the leadership role be the direction of Elo basically starting to cause the explosion sounds that are echoing off the sides of the buildings. And Gran is also going to use the one frag grenade he has and hurls it down the alleyway in the opposite direction of the squads. Just he goes, fire in the hole, he says with a smile on his face as he gets down low. Sounds of explosion starts going off, and then the grenade explodes. Immediately, you see the stormtroopers on the other side of the bridge react. They start scattering and taking positions. You see the tank turret begin to swivel into the direction. Little bit of an anxiety as you see that great big barrel start to swivel around. And a few of the stormtroopers open fire until you hear one of them say, cease fire, cease fire. And a few seconds later, another explosion sound goes off. Another explosion sound. And Tillo says, this isn't working. We need to lure them out. And Tillo rolls out onto the street. I am making a... Here we go. Yeah. I'm going to make an athletics check against difficulty of 2. And I'm going to give him a boost die because he is not running. He is rolling across the street. He is...
What's happening?
Okay. We are now doing this. Let's see. Yep. Add Stormtrooper Squad 2. Add Navy Imperial Trooper Squad. Okay. They open fire the moment they see Tillo roll out into the street. However, Stormtroopers, even the hail of blaster fire as it rolls out, Tillo definitely provokes them. And you can see Tillo does not look where he is shooting. He simply holds his blaster out. He rolls and coasts across. He glances over and basically does a strafing run in a way that no biped is going to be able to do. He is able to pivot his torso completely to the left as a moving target and just opens up in full auto fire with his blaster rifle, not aiming for anything. The stormtroopers have no chance of hitting him. He just rolls right across, but you see a little bit of smoke pop up from his back as he ducks down low, and he's going to take 2 points of strain as he barely avoids getting shot. He's already got 2 points of strain. And he makes it to the other side behind a piece of cover. Now a squad of stormtroopers starts charging across the bridge. You see 6 stormtroopers making their way across the bridge. What are you guys going to do? You can roll initiative now, or if you have anything else you want to do. Otherwise, the trap is ready to be sprung.
I guess I gotta wait to try to get into that tank.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the stormtroopers make it across the bridge. One of the rebel squads immediately opens fire, and a big firefight breaks out. When that happens, Narumno holds her fire. She does not open up. She is on the other side of that wreckage, and even though y'all are in a great position right now to attack an ATST that comes over that bridge, you are in a bad position for that tank. It could swivel and aim right at the building you're in. So, Narumno, you can see the Wookiee just going, looking at you, MT, just like as rebels and stormtroopers are exchanging fire.
We have a different target. Stay calm.
All right. I'm going to make the next mass combat check. So this is actually going to be the rebellion rolling against the Empire. And we're going to see how this plan pans out. So your commanding officer is going to roll 4 yellow dice against 2 purples and 2 reds. And she's also getting 2 setback dice. The odds are not in the favor of the rebellion, unfortunately. And yet, I'm going to spend, let's see, in mass comm, I'm going to spend 1 point of threat. The characters involved in the active, every one of y'all that is on that street fight right now suffer 1 point of strain. So everyone on that block is going to suffer 1 point of strain. So that's going to be Tillo, that's going to be Gran, and that's going to be Lon. Okay. All right. So the fight continues. While that is happening, I'm so sorry. I'm spending a dark side point. Stucky, you have been listening for the past 45 minutes of combat chatter coming through on comms. Rebels are out there and they are holding their ground against a superior force with superior equipment. The Empire, as a quick refresher, the Empire lost the first round of mass combat. The Rebellion won, and I'm rolling more dice for the Empire. So the Rebellion has pushed and has held its ground, and the Empire is falling for it. The mass combat that is breaking out over on the bridge, the gambit has worked. They're charging across the bridge and into fire and getting sandwiched on both sides. 2 squads of stormtroopers are currently bogged down and flanked. And this is probably Gina screaming, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, my internet just died." Yep. When Gina comes up back on, we should all just be like, "That was amazing, you guys. Amazing battles. Fantastic." Okay. So while this is happening, as you're listening to all of the combat chatter happening, there is this just like terrible feeling of helplessness. And Myth, you're experiencing it too. You're coordinating as best you can and doling out those blue dice as best you can, heading out, coordinating Ember Squad against the attacks that are happening. But it's you and Stucky both are sitting in chairs right now. You're not in the combat. At the very least, you wish you could be out there fighting with Tillo and everybody, but y'all are stuck back here. That is until your long-range sensors begin to go off that a ship has entered system.
Are we able to get confirmation as to which ship it is?
Yeah, Myth is on that immediately.
You immediately get onto the computer, make a computer's check for me.
Absolutely, I would love
difficulty is 2, and it's actually no, it's 3 because it's just on the edge of the system.
I would like to spend a boost die if I could.
Okay, Oxcrew giving you a boost die. That is going to be, thank you, Rogan 27.
Oh, and I'm just realizing that I guess I also rolled over those 6 advantages.
Those roll to the next not you.
No, okay, yeah, all right, sounds good.
Or you can do it a 2-for-1 and give you 3. I mean, at this point, we don't even need to because we basically won the rebellion, right? Oh, hi, Gina.
Hi, Gina.
Oh man, that was amazing. That was such a great
we did
fight.
it! I was awesome.
I didn't even know that the MT knew the Kamehameha.
All right.
All right. Roll the dice.
Roll the dice.
Jeez.
4 successes. It is a Class 1 Imperial Star Destroyer. Has just entered system. Not the Rock Skipper.
Myth, you got any news for me on what's pinging?
Scrap Squadron.
Yeah?
I've got some real bad news.
It's not the Rock Skipper, is it?
Sure isn't.
Okay. What's the
What
play,
are we going
boss?
to do? Scrap 2 goes, wait a minute, what are we going to do? We can't go up against a Star Destroyer.
This isn't about going up against a Star Destroyer. This is about buying time.
So what are our orders? Do we just take to the sky and cover the city?
You call the play. And I'll make it look good. You got this, Myth.
Cover the city. Make sure that our ground troops have enough covering fire to... We're going to have to do a tactical retreat.
It's just a Star Destroyer.
Star Destroyer boasts 37,085 officers and pilots and enlisted crew. They have a starfighter complement of 72 fighters and bombers.
MC,
9,000
I don't need this right now.
9,700 troops are stationed on board Star Destroyers. It is the battleship of the Imperial Navy, and it has arrived, and it will be in orbit of the planet in the next 8 rounds as it's moving in system.
Whatever we have to do it quick.
So, Myth, that's the green light for me. That's the green light for the Scrap Squad to lay down whatever fire that the rebellion needs until we can get everybody out of here.
Scrap Squadron, do what you do best.
All right.
Give them hell.
With that, I'm gonna kick the engines on.
And the Y-wings all power up again. The engines come to life. The repulsors activate. You hear Scrap 2 just go, not a single TIE fighter is going to dirty my sky.
Let's go be big dumb heroes, yeah?
And Scrap Squadron, you all start taking off. 4 fighters. 4 fighters against whatever it is that this Star Destroyer is going to bring to bear. You guys slowly start taking off.
Feels like it's sort of a Star Fox level.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the combat from the map, you weren't here for it, Gina, but I rolled the mass combat check for the Rebellion. The Rebellion scored 2 successes and a threat. You gained a point of strain. The Rebellion is winning the fight right now. Y'all are totally outmatched, but you haven't achieved mission objective, but you are succeeding at the plan. Stormtroopers and Imperials are starting to make their way across the bridge. The tank has fired a few times, causing explosions on the city blocks and rocks to scatter. It's giving you guys the distraction and cover that you need to make an advance under the cover of the fire. One by one, Gran, Tillo, and Lon have moved forward. And every now and then, Ella will sound out an explosion to make it sound like all hell is breaking loose in the alleyways that they're coming from. But nobody is, because of the successful roll, your strategy is succeeding. There might be a way to make your way across that huge gap without having to go around and using that to your advantage. Tillo stops you guys when you come to the bridge, and Tillo just gives you guys a smile and says, all right, so here's the problem. This thing don't swim. So I need the 2 of you to take point on here, and I'm going to stay behind and give you covering fire. Ain't nobody can move like me. So I'm going to lay down the fire that y'all need to get across to the other side. Don't use the bridge. Got it? Use the not bridge. And he motions to the raging waters down below. And Tillo goes, you think you can handle it? Gran goes, not a lot of water on my homeworld, my friend. I don't know if you remember that too much. He says, you could stay here. Watch Lon take all the glory. He goes, you
gonna let a mid-rim city boy outswim you?
All right, the 2 of you. I get to watch and tell the story. Make me proud.
Are we making...
Yep.
swim?
Y'all proceed to the edges of the bridge, and Tillo, sure enough, is able to use his mobility and just race across that street, once again laying down covering fire, causing blaster bolts to slam. It distracts a lot of the stormtroopers. The tank cannot even hope to get any kind of a target lock on him. What the stormtroopers try to engage and the rest of the troops backing it up, the great firefight continues to explode on the street side as Tillo takes position. And I'm going to roll for Tillo right now to see if he can succeed here at getting you guys nice and get you guys a nice distraction going on. All right, so Tillo, make us proud. All right, Tillo's going to use, actually, yeah, you know what? Tillo's going to use leadership here. And let's see, against the stormtroopers, against command, I'll give him a difficulty of 3, but I'm going to give Tillo a boost die here too because he is flying. All right, here we go. I have to and RPG sessions choked and logged me out. So now I have to log back in. Unfortunately, when suddenly the animator suffered a fatal heart attack. All right.
This is the equivalent of like a film strip getting stuck on the, in the middle of a word movie.
All right. So
the dancing popcorn and hot dogs start coming out.
Okay. 2. I'm giving him a boost die and rolling. Tillo gives you the distraction you need with 3 successes and 1 advantage. He's passing that on to you guys. Make an athletics check as you're making your way across that raging water down below.
How many roll forwards do we have?
7.
7. And
6
you are gonna
from Tilla.
You are gonna get 2 setback dice, 1 for the current and 1 for the fact that you and Gran are fighting against your equipment as much as you are the currents as you're swimming this thing.
So, all right, 7 boosts. You said, just the roll forwards. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
And then 2 setback, right? And then how much normal difficulty?
The difficulty of this is going to be 3.
Oof. Okay.
You want an ox screw die?
I'll use my floating die first.
Okay. I've granted everybody at the start of combat 1 boost die they could spend any time they wanted, and Quincy is burning his now. Let's go ahead and make your roll. 2 successes, 5 advantages.
Rolling forward. Actually, I will use 1 to drop my strain, and then I will roll the rest forward. So that's 4 advantages rolled forward.
Okay. Can I make a request? May I use 1 of those boost die for Gran?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that those were separate.
They're not typically separate, but in this case, he's gonna have to make his check too, and he's not lying. He doesn't exactly. Not a lot of y'all would note that. Yeah, not a lot of places to swim.
It's okay. It's just 200 yards.
It's just 200 yards.
Yeah, go ahead and use.
Okay, I'm just trying to pull up Gran's stats. There they are. Okay.
Am I allowed to like divvy it up specifically?
No.
If you do it at the 2 for 1, you can make a called shot with your boosts. Like, you can have 4 advantages that go 2 to one person, 2 to the other. But if it's just a roll forward, then you get the 1 for 1.
Okay. Gran has got 2 greens, and Gran is rolling against 2 purples and 2 setback.
Yeah, just roll forward to him then. Okay,
so how many dice is he getting?
If I can't pick, then all of them.
Yeah, all of them. Oh no, you can pick, but it's at 2 to 1. Like if you want, if you want to give him a few, then he can take 1 for 1 if you're giving it to him right now, or you can pick another player and give it to them for 2 for 1.
I feel like we'll roll okay. We don't need the constant snowball. We will re-pick up the snowball. I'll give them all to him.
Okay, so 5 boost.
And I want someone covering my back if I'm trying to make
2 successes, 2 advantages. Good thing you gave him those boost die, because I see 2 of those successes were 3 successes were on the boost die. He got 2 failures. Yeah, you might have just saved Gran. You guys push your way across the river during a hellacious firefight. When you guys reach the other side and begin your climb up the side of the rock face to the lip of where is kind of like sandbagged with a bunch of rubble, where you can hear the ear-shattering noise of that tank going firing and blowing up buildings on the other side of the street. Amidst all of that, you and Gran look at each other, because at the same time, when you get about halfway as you're both climbing up, you can hear the sounds that no rebel will ever mistake or forget. You hear the clanking, methodic sounds of a walker heading towards you guys. You don't have visuals, but you can hear that thing is in the vicinity and on its way.
I comms to the team. This is Rec Team, the rest of Ember Squad. 2 metallic feet are inbound, and they're bigger than MTs.
You hear Tilla say, "Copy that. I'll let our boom team know what's going on." And almost on cue, Narumno looks over at UMT and just goes, it's just a general Wookiee war cry as she just reaches forward and goes, starts powering up the E-web.
I place my hands on both of my, on the cannon on my shoulder, and I look at Narumno and I go, prepare for surgery.
Narumno clips their, basically weighs their E-web into place and leans over and basically just helps you hold it has an encumbrance of 3. So Narumno is basically helping you stay on task with the rocket launcher. The 2 of you are just heading it, waiting for your moment. That's going to be what's going on over there. Stucky, you guys get altitude. You can see the battle waging down below. Vetrus is a firestorm of blasters right now. It looks like bolts of energy flying every which way. You've never seen anything like it. There must be thousands, both rebels and Imperials, shooting it out right now in the streets down below. You can see you are grateful enough that you can see as you're passing over, looking out of the cockpit window, banking a little to your left. Down below, you can see the civilian areas have completely cleared out of the battlefield. So it doesn't look like anything is immediately in harm's way, but you do spot the ATST advancing on one of the city blocks. You do have eyes on it. Also, your sensors light up that multiple contacts are being detected in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be the fight for the sky. Scrap 4. I'm imagining that's my Y-wing.
Yeah. Scrap 4 and Scrap 3 are Y-wings.
Oh boy, they both need gunners.
Only one does.
Okay, I'm going to the one that needs a gunner. I'm gonna have you sit the dogfight out. Myth, where can my Y-wing pick up somebody that needs a pickup?
All right. Our teams will probably need extraction as soon as they take down that chicken.
Who are you? Oh, you want to pick up one? You can pick up one person.
Yeah, it's kind of like if somebody is ass out, I want to get them in a vehicle so we can get them out. Mm-hmm. How's Ember? Is everybody got a partner?
Everybody's got a partner except the one that's unaccounted for.
You know, I don't love that.
Me neither.
Let me know whenever you get an update on Elias.
You'll be the first to know.
Scrap 4, I need you to just circle that walker. Don't get too close. I've got a competent team on the ground, but just in case things get a little iffy, I need you to be able to pull a distraction so they can bail out.
Copy that, Scrap 1.
All right.
Y-wing breaks off. If you would, Stucky, make me a simple leadership check.
All righty.
One difficulty. Determine possess discipline. Gain a boost die for this too. Oh, okay, that's fine. 2 successes. Okay, you leadership check. You basically form up into squadron formation, basically. So you get to choose training. Okay, so you get to. Okay, so right now, in formation, you can pick what your squadron formation is. That is attack formation, evasive, running dark, skilled navigator, sensor sweep. Right now, if you choose attack formation, it means you add a boost die to any attacks made by the squadron while you're in formation. Evasive maneuvers is the exact thing in what you think it is. So is running dark will actually help you guys evade being spotted by the TIEs as they enter the atmosphere. And then sensor sweep is to try to get an entire view of the area. If you were like searching for, say, 2 people that had been left out overnight on Hoth, sensor sweep and what your squadron would be using to spot them. But yeah, right now, no enemies to spot. So,
okay. So above the table, Stucky is toward because a sensor sweep would probably find Elias, but the mission is we got to do this. So
what do you do?
All right, evasion formation. Let's see where they go on their own, and then we'll stab them in the back.
All right. Copy that, squadron leader. and the other two fighters begin to split up their squadron behind you. You can see they're keeping their eyes to the sky and watching the sensors. Probably another round before ties reach you guys.
All right, and just above table, that Y-wing.
Yeah, I know.
I was hoping it would find Tillo.
Oh, Tillo?
Yeah, that's who I'm worried about.
No, there's not a sentient being alive that would be able to pull Tillo off the battlefield right now. Tillo is currently laying down fire and being a maddening target for stormtroopers to hit, making it just absolutely aggroing the fuck out of squads of stormtroopers at the moment. Okay, while all of this is happening, Elias, you are behind a large crate. Things have gotten really bad. Word has gotten out that there is a rebel soldier behind enemy lines and there are squads looking for you. The difficulty of not being spotted has gone up. You have, on occasion, heard stormtroopers moving past you, and Imperial probe droids have increased their search activity behind the lines. It is becoming very dangerous. However, you are in striking range. You just don't have eyes on the target. Right now, you would be considered at extreme range, moving into long range. The base, you can actually hear the activity. There is hundreds of stormtroopers that have yet been called into the battle that are sitting in reserves. Make me a perception check from where you are, Elias. Actually, make me a stealth check first.
Okay.
And the difficulty is 2, and you're going to get a boost die and a setback die.
Ox boost, please.
Okay, Ox Crew. You're helping our sniper. Thank you, Leo Embermain. Three successes, three advantages. Elias, you lay low and sneak past. No one's going to be looking for a kid. They're all thinking there is a big rebel soldier out there running around. You are able to lay lower than most people do, moving across the street, dashing in between burnout wreckages and whatnot. You get to move within long range, and you can see a lot of the activity. It's time to find a spot to set up. Make me your perception check. The difficulty of this is going to be 3 with a setback die.
I would like to goose this with as many tools of
trade as possible.
Yeah, I'm a difficult, like, I have 2 green dice on a perception, my friend.
Would you like to spend a destiny point?
Yes, I would.
Okay, destiny point is spent. And would you like to spend an Ox Crew?
Yes, and I would like to roll a 2-for-1 for an extra boost.
Okay.
This is still so bad. This is still so bad and unfavorable.
Okay, so spinning an Ox Crew, that is going to be, thank you, Breeks.
Thank you, Breeks.
Okay.
Mm.
You spot a perfect perch.
Frack.
A good spot that might give you the exact angle you need to look down into the base. It looks like a hollowed out building about 7 stories tall. It's about a block and a half away, but all the other buildings that separate between the two of you are low. Not to mention it's behind the line, so it's not going to be guarded. Everyone is going to have security forces in the direction you came from.
And it looks really good to me, right, Eric?
Yeah, it's speaking to you.
Well, then I have to.
But I am taking note of the 3 advantages you rolled.
Thank you.
So, laying low, Elias, your heart starts to pound because you start to feel like the conclusion of your mission might be nearby, one way or the other, as you move your way towards the building. Fear is keeping your blood pumped with energy. You are alert, you are quick, and you are quiet. There's a few moments where you have to stop just as an Imperial probe droid moves right past you in the street. And at particularly one moment, you start to get tunnel vision for a second, and you remember to breathe as the droid moves around the corner, just calming your breathing. You are surrounded by hundreds of Imperials behind enemy lines. And you dash towards the opening. Moving into the building, you see this place looks like it's been hollowed out, and the only way up looks like it's going to be through the accessible stairs, which actually also have an accessible ramp and hookup as well. You make your way up a few flights until you get to the top floor. When you get to about the 5th floor or so, you begin to notice that this place looks like it was probably cleared out by stormtroopers. You see blast marks everywhere, and you see burned out looks like spaces on the inside, desks that have been turned over. Your impression is that this might have been a business of some kind, or maybe a corporation, but it's been largely destroyed. And a lot of the windows up here have been broken and smashed. There's a large open area where you see a bunch of desks and a large open space, and wind is howling in here. As you move closer, you can just hear the whistling. When you advance towards one of the windows, you find yourself behind a pillar, one of the many pillars of this large space that's holding up the building. And you're able to just peek around to the other side of the pillar, and it overlooks the Imperial base. Lots of people. Make me a perception check. If you're using your scope, then you get reduced difficulty.
Yes.
Okay. The difficulty of this check is 4, and I'm spending a dark side point.
Oh no!
To raise it. To give.
I don't see it. I don't.
Turn it into a challenge die. So, go ahead and make your roll.
Okay. So if we're doing it as a reduced difficulty, then I have that as 1 red, 2 purples.
Correct.
Cool. Elias, cool. I'm not even going to sink anything into this. I'm not feeling sanguine other than a 2 for 1 from the advantages. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Not a chance.
And you look and scan. So many people. The scope pauses on an Imperial officer, and your heart stops for a second as you think you may have found the target. But as they turn and face in your direction and hand off a data pad, not him. You continue to scan. And that's where we leave you for now. Back on the bridge, I'm going to make another mass combat check. Let's see how the rebellion is doing. However, I am taking note of those 3 advantages. I am holding off on those for right now because the NPC is not going to get those, but we are going to have a roll here. So this is the Empire, which is now pushing across that bridge. The Empire is going to roll 2 greens and 4 yellows against the Rebellion, which is 3 purples and 1 red and 2 setback dice. 2 successes, 2 triumphs, and a despair. I have never seen a roll like that. Okay, so this is how this is going down. Let me refer now then to the mass combat table. I'm going to spend that triumph. Oh, okay. Okay, I know how this is going to play out. The triumph, I'm spending 2 triumphs. I'm spending 1 triumph on Elias, and I'm spending 1 triumph on the bridge battle. At the bridge, the Empire has started to push forward. And when you guys get to the top of the lip, and you can see all the firefight and the deafening sounds of those artillery going off, when you reach topside, Lon, you almost freeze in fear as you see the walker is there. You're right underneath it as it goes. It doesn't cross the bridge. Instead, it stops and it angles. Narumno turns and looks at you, MT, and goes, what if it doesn't cross the bridge? And you lose what Narumno says, because 2 missiles immediately erupt off the sides of the ATST and explode into the street. The smoke begins to clear and more rebels begin to pull back. You see, as the smoke is clearing, you see for a split second, you look out and you see Tillo with one hand pushing himself up off the ground and righting himself and just getting out of there as fast as he can with a big gash on his head, blood streaming down the side of his face. And he's calling for the retreat as the ATST does not cross the bridge. It just stays there, right there. Why does it need to? It doesn't. It just stays there, opening up all the ordnance. All the rebels scatter and take fire, and the Empire begins to pull back. You guys are going to lose a squad of troopers to this thing as it continues to just bombard. You see every now and then as a missile fires, another, it looks like on the right side of the ATST, a secondary turret, which you can only see from the right side. It looks like a wasp hive of some kind just on the side. And it goes doom, 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 as grenades just get lobbed over the bridge. Detonations everywhere. Smoke and debris, as the Empire just starts carpet bombing the entire street, just laying waste. The rebels duck down low, and you guys are pinned at this point. The windows that are still in the first floor building next to you, MT, explode and shatter. And when the smoke clears, you glance down and you see Narumno look up at you a little bit alarmed as there is this large blade of glass that is just jammed into Narumno's arm. And Narumno is going to take a critical. You can see Narumno just holding and just going, and says, I don't feel it. Is that good or bad?
I immediately set them down on the ground and pull them as far away from any exposed windows as possible. And I'm going to immediately start doing what I do best.
Okay. Make a medicine check as you get to work on Narumno. Narumno is messed up. Narumno's got some wounds, and Narumno's tough, but Narumno took a crit.
I'm going to take the 2 rollovers from Sam.
Okay.
And I'm going to use one of and my floating die.
Okay.
What's the difficulty?
The difficulty of this, I think it's by the it's to remove the difficulty's 3.
Okay.
And you get a triumph. You reach over and just pull the glass out, and Narumno goes, manages to keep the growl, and Narumno looks you in the eyes as you just quickly go to work. And
it's
Narumno
good.
says,
you can feel it.
I can feel it now. Yes. The stim pack with the Bacta immediately starts sealing up the wound, and you are actually going to get a handle on that low-level critical hit wound, which means Narumno is going to be able to continue helping you hold that rocket launcher when you need to. And then is the
web shooter that was on the windowsill damaged in any way? That was
no. It looks like it's fine.
Okay,
but your olfactory sensors begin to alert you immediately to a toxin in the air.
Shoot. The toxin, or
yes, it registers immediately. The grenades are popping this greenish mist that are just popping all down the street.
Oh my god. Narumno, do you have can I quickly check Narumno's gear for any, do they have any version of respirators?
I'm looking at
on their gear
Narumno
kits?
No, but if you spend a light side point, Narumno will.
I'll spend a light side point, and I have a spare in one of my compartments.
Okay.
I immediately I reach into the sort of tortoise shell back and pull out a respirator, and I place it on Narumno's head. Under no circumstance are you allowed to remove their mask.
At that point, you hear the panicked shout of Tello going, "We have to fall back! They're using that goddamn gas!"
Yeah. So Tillo knows it's the viral like
Seems
poison.
to.
Okay, great. I also call it into myth. They have weaponized. It's here. I haven't had time to perfect the antidote.
Do what you can. Try and get that chicken walker done, and then get the hell out of there.
Yes.
As everyone starts to pull back, something starts to occur to you, MT. You had a spare respirator, which means Narumno's fine. The rest of the squad that's pulling back are not going to be able to help you anymore, but you don't need to breathe. And Lon is ahead of this. They're on the other side. You think they made it across the river.
Yeah.
But you guys are on your own now.
Yeah.
And it's starting to look like this might be a one-way mission.
Narumno, we cannot stay here. We have no more reinforcements. Can I do a quick warfare check to see if there is any other solution to get the ATST across the bridge, or does it just
make a warfare check?
Great. Difficulty?
Difficulty, we'll set it at 3. Make you earn this. Three successes and a threat.
Yeah.
Yes, there might be a way. If Tillo makes it clear that they're running, the ATST might be lulled into following, thinking that rebels are on the run, gun them down as they go. But Tillo and the rest of the squads will need to be bait. What's left of the rebels will basically have to throw themselves to the lion in order to get that thing to come across the bridge.
MT to Stucky.
Yeah.
I may need your help, friend.
I got a couple of dancing partners, but it shouldn't take me too long. What's going on? How bad is it?
If you are unavailable, I will have to sacrifice too many members of our team to get my mission accomplished.
No, we're not doing that.
Can you cause a distraction and force the ATST across this bridge? And I send coordinates to whatever overlay.
Okay.
If you can fire behind it, it might force it to go forward. And if that does not work, I may have to go alone.
Myth, you are hearing this. Firing on the ATST is a direct violation of orders. But it might work.
You know what?
Deal with the court-martial later. Do it.
You've been given the order. It's not on you anymore.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let Myth get court-martialed. I've got a plan, and it's stupid. So let's see if we can make it work. And
as you're saying this, Stucky, you're seeing the sensors showing a squadron of TIE fighters coming into range.
That's what I was hoping for. I'm going to punch it towards the TIE fighters.
Okay. All right, you punch it towards the TIE fighters. And Lon, you guys climb your way up to that side of the bridge. You are laying flat on your stomachs on the other side of the rubble that is protecting this burned out tank that is just shooting round after round into the streets on the other side. You have no idea if any of your squad is still alive right now. All you see is fire and rubble. It's hard to imagine that MT or anybody, Tillo, anybody could survive what you're looking at right now. It looks like it is just a wall of fire and debris and smoke where you guys came from.
Okay, how far are we from both the tank and the ATST?
The ATST is about 30 feet away from you guys. The tank is about 5.
What is the complement of these two respective places?
Well, a lot thanks to the successful rolls of the earliest part of the mass combat, a lot of the stormtroopers have been pulled off of the tank and have charged onto the bridge and are firing over. That has left one Imperial naval officer on the top and whoever's operating the tank inside, currently protecting the tank. You run the risk of being spotted by the ATST if you try to dash into that tank.
And what's the operating complement inside an ATST?
2 officers.
I signal to Gran, and I point at both of them. Like, as in a which one kind of situation.
He goes, how about I draw off the ATST and you take the tank?
I say, you're not going to beat that thing alone.
I'm trying to beat it. Just trying to piss it off. And he pulls out an ion grenade.
Don't die. And then,
all right.
actually, before that, I actually go, want to pop off that one before we get started? And I point to the top gun, top of the tank.
I'm going to throw a grenade into that thing.
No, can you?
What? Oh, sure. And he leans up, he unslings his rifle. Water pours out of the cannon. As he fires it up. And the Imperial, who is topside, is in the middle of saying something about how wonderful it is to smell fire and watch rebels run for their lives. And Gran opens fire. Gran is using his blaster rifle. He is at short range. The Imperial, technically, I'm going to give a setback die for cover, and he's going to roll. He's going to miss. The spark at the end of the gun, as the gun is shorted from the water that got into the cannon, it happens. As it fires off, though, with the 2 advantages, I'm going to spin those advantages. And in the sheer chaos of combat, the Imperial does not know he was just shot at from about 5 feet away. As the thunderous explosions of the tank fire going off, Gran looks at you like, can you fucking believe that? He looks at you and you can barely hear him say, don't tell anyone that happened.
I just wave him off, go, take care of the walker.
I'm going to roll for the walker because even though the Imperial didn't see that, the walker might have spotted it. So on behalf of the Imperial walker, I am rolling for the command crew of the engineer who is inside that thing. Let's see. Okay. I'm rolling the perception check to see if they spotted that. I'm going to give them 2 setback dice at a difficulty of 2. And nope. This is not astrogation. This is nothing. All right. And roll. You go take after the walker, and as you glance over, the walker goes, and its head turns and looks at the 2 of you stationed down at the tank. And in that moment, Gran looks at you and says, keep a place at the table for me, okay? And pats you on the back and runs towards the walker with the grenade in his hand.
I take the moment to get into the tank.
Okay, you dash up onto the tank itself. The walker, unwilling to fire on its own tank, starts to turn its attention to the lone rebel that's charging it with something in its hand. I'm going to roll initiative, vigilance, and cool.
Is there any chance that Scrap 4 might be able to provide him some kind of cover?
Nope.
Okay. I tried, y'all.
Okay, so for the walker and for Gran, He beats it by 1 advantage point. He scores. No, he rolled 2 successes. I'm sorry, I misread that. It's 2 successes, 3 advantages. The walker is going to open fire with its personnel turret at the front and is going to fire on Gran as he's moving towards him. I'm rolling gunnery. However, this is a silhouette 3 firing on a silhouette 1. So I'm going to be giving, let's see, gunnery and this is a chin-mounted twin heavy blaster. So I'm using 2. Does it have blast? What are its?
Every squad, how
No, it's just fire
the light side point right now.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's going to get 2 setback dice. Yeah, if you want to spend a light side point.
Yes.
I will upgrade that difficulty then.
Mm-hmm.
I will upgrade one of those purple dice to a red die and rolling on Gran. The explosion as these twin turbo blasters explode into the ground next to Gran. Gran goes stumbling off to the side. He's going to take a point of strain as he basically almost gets hit by artillery up close. However, the walker is going to take a point of strain. Gran is going to throw the ion grenade. Here we go, Gran. This is build the pool. He is at its short ranged, so he is at optimal range. He is going to get 2 boost die because he is a silhouette run throwing against a 3. Epic is he nails it. He tosses an ion grenade up at the walker. You might be telling stories about this one for a hot minute there. It is a personnel grenade. It is not going to do heavy damage to the walker. However, it does get disorient 5 and ion damage. This thing goes off doing 12 damage. It detonates in front of the tank, or in front of the walker's face. You see blue electricity play off all across the front of the walker as it stumbles back. And for a second, its leg servos weaken as it struggles to actually stay active. And it goes, you've got this moment. The walker cannot cover with small arms fire, you attacking the commander on the tank. Commander is completely distracted by this. You're going to get an attack roll against this guy. All 6 of those advantages is going to you. He's handing those all to you. Lon, roll to take this tank.
All right, so am I doing a attack roll?
You are. What are you attacking with?
I have a blaster pistol.
You got a blaster pistol. You're at engaged range. Take a shot. You're getting 6 boost die to the shot. And the difficulty is at engaged. I think it's actually 2 because you're using a blaster. Oh, wait. Is it a standard? Yeah, it's standard blaster pistol. It can be 2. Difficulty is 2. Make your shot.
Okay, 2. Where's my ranged light? How many again of the boost die?
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you know what? Let's take an Ox Crew for bonus.
Okay. This Ox Crew die comes from Darth Pillow.
Here we go.
Make your roll. Okay, so 7 successes on what's the base damage on the blaster pistol?
Let's look here. Base damage is 6. Is that right?
If it's a standard blaster pistol, yeah.
If it's a standard blaster pistol.
Yep.
Okay, there is a pow sound as the commander turns and looks just in time, and he slumps over the side and falls off the tank. Wilhelm screaming everything, "Oh!" and goes over into the river that's raging down below.
Do we get another action to go in, or are we moving to someone
You can
else?
use your move action now, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be a little selfish here because there's still one more guy inside. I'm going to roll those 4 down to 2 for myself.
Okay.
And then let's get in and take the other one out.
Okay. You get into the tank. As that is happening, the other despair, Elias, you're moving your scope. And as it starts to land on a few of the targets, you stop and you see him. He's currently arms folded, standing next to 2 stormtroopers. They're at a war table right now. And he looks like he is in the middle of speaking to somebody on a holo. You've been through intelligence briefings, but through your scope, as you zoom in, the holo, he's talking to Admiral Deleth. And your blood goes cold as you realize Deleth is here. It means his Star Destroyer has arrived. What that does to you, I'll let you decide, Elias. But as it starts to settle in on you, you start also beginning to realize this might be a one-way mission. However, you can make your shot. Make me a vigilance check.
All right.
No difficulty.
Mm-hmm. It usually isn't for initiative, is it?
Okay.
Oh no. Oh no, oh no.
Okay. I am going to use this guy.
Should have looked for counter snipers, Elias. You did it in the street space. Of course they have someone posted on the top of the base.
Two and a boost die because you do not see them.
Uh-oh.
I score a crit on you.
Mm-hmm.
5 successes. I'm going to roll on the crit table.
Mm-hmm.
Only a
I
9.
hate it.
You lucky dog. I only rolled a 9.
What are these dice again? Okay.
You lucky.
This is just
Okay.
like that Dark Trooper, my goodness.
Elias, you swallow. You steady your breath and you bring your finger up to the trigger. You are going to take... Hold on. I have to double check the weapon damage here. What is your armor?
I unless the rebellion gave me any, I just got the silk my mama gave me,
Okay.
which is 2.
Okay, you take 12 points of damage to your wounds. That's before soak. You take 4 points of damage as a blaster in the same room you were in goes off. You spin around and hit the ground. You just slump back against the pillar with shock as you feel the horrible burning on your chest. Your vision's a little blurry as you see leaning up out from behind one of these desks. It looks like an Imperial in what looks like sleek looking black armor and a few symbols of rank. It looks like some kind of intelligence officer. You see they also have a sniper rifle, but it's slung over their shoulder. And the Imperial starts calmly making their way over to you with the blaster levied at you as he walks right up and lowers it. The man stands about 6 feet tall, dark brown hair, clean shaven, handsome features, cold green eyes. He looks at you curiously and says, "My God, how old are you?"
Old enough.
I'm spending that triumph now. He lowers the blaster and he says, old enough indeed. And the barrel goes to your face. And there's a... You jolt. And Elias, you stop and stare for a moment. And you see a yellow column of energy emerging from his chest. It just stays there like a blaster bolt that's frozen in time. You see a look of confusion on his face, and then his eyes roll back into his head as he slumps down. A woman stands before you. She holds in her hand a weapon that has not been seen since the days of the Old Republic. It hums with energy, crackling. She wears layers of mismatched and muted clothing and a dusty jewel-toned fabrics and cloaks. She has a dark brown hair that's slightly messy, but it's pulled back with some braids. She must be in her 30s. A smattering of freckles across the side of her face and a scar. She holds a lightsaber in her hand that looks like it's been custom made, rather slapdash. And she looks at you. She says nothing.
Who are you?
I'm a shadow. And she closes the lightsaber blade. You don't have much time. I will give you a corridor to escape through. Take your shot and go. And may the Force be with you.
And also with you. I'm gonna set up. I'm gonna take my shot.
You turn around and levy the shot.
Ow. All right.
Roll me the shot of the game, if you would please, Elias.
All right. I'd like to Ox Boost and Light Side, if I may. Y'all cool with it?
All right. So you're going to get an Ox Crew. You're going to get a boost die?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This boost die comes to you from Laura. Thank you, Laura. All right. So gain that boost die.
Gonna make you proud, sharpshooter. All right. What range am I at?
You're at long range.
Okay. All right.
Elias, when you squeeze that trigger, you've only got one shot at this. You squeeze that trigger, it could change the entire course of this battle because the commander that's rolling that dice pool dies for the mass warfare checks. They are also all going to know exactly where you are. So shoot and run.
Oh, Eric. I just got shot for all but my duty. So I'm pretty much flat on the floor here.
Okay.
I'll try
And you
to
know
make
what that
a
means?
distraction for you.
Stucky, don't worry. I'm not looking at my boots.
What is the damage rating on your gun?
It is 9 plus 3 for deadly accuracy. I add my ranks in ranged heavy to 1 shot if successful.
Okay.
So that's 12 plus 4. So a cool 16 before crits, of which I do 2 at a plus 20.
Cut back to.
Lon
On.
has just gone in the thing, yes?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, Lon. You slide into the tank. You see the tank gunner immediately just raise their hand and surrender. They have no weapon on them.
I go, consider your means of production seized. Let's go.
nods and crawls up out and just kind of jumps out of the tank and runs in the opposite direction. You have the tank at your disposal and a disabled ATST to your left, a bridge to your right with stormtroopers on it.
Okay.
Empty to lawn.
Ortha here.
Did you survive?
What do you think? And then I start, as I slide into the tank chair, the control chair.
All the controls in front of you. You can see a digital display in front of you that shows you the battlefield.
Happy to hear it. I do not believe in ghosts, and that would have alarmed me.
I also, at the same comment, Grant, if you're still out there, get out of the way.
I'm running. What do you think I'm doing? You hear him breathlessly say on the comms, running in the opposite direction. Once that thing comes back online, he's going to be very upset at me.
I start spinning the turret around to target the ATST.
Okay, you swivel the gun turret over by the ATST. As this is happening, MT, you notice that the gunfire has stopped from the ATST.
Yeah.
And you can see the tank head just going.
Yeah.
It's a shot.
Oh, and we're running.
Okay. Narumno nods and says,
"Yeah,
don't let me forget my gun." In Wookiee, as they help you carry that rocket launcher into position. Where are you guys going?
Basically, as we're moving, MT is just explaining that we don't have time to wait for Stucky. There are too many of our men in the literal way, and Gran is going to get shot, and Tillo is going to get shot, and once the ATST is back online and realizes that the tank has been commandeered, it will fire. So we don't have time to wait for it to move. Yep. So I just want to get into any closer range to fire these missiles with the tank.
You can get right up to the lip of the bridge. You will be in full view of the ATST and the stormtroopers that are remaining, but it will give you a perfect line shot with no penalties.
Great. I take that with the orders of Narumno to stand behind me and operate the gun. I'm shielding Narumno.
The two of you emerge from a thick smoke of toxicity that kills people if they breathe it in. Stormtroopers seem to be pretty confident that no one is in that cloud of death until they see emerging from it this large medical droid flanked by a Wookiee with a gas mask on. It takes them a few seconds to process what it is they're looking at. But by the time they have, you've assumed position on the front of the bridge. They've got a launcher. They've got a launcher. The stormtroopers begin to raise their blasters. The squad is going to open fire on you. You can do one of two things. You can fire at the ATST, or you can take cover and battle the stormtroopers, or you can fire at the stormtroopers. What are you going to do, MT?
I'm going to fire.
Okay.
At the ATST.
Roll
the plan
your
is
attack.
to aim at their. How close is Lon's tank aim from before I am? I think he'll be able to fire as well.
Lon is going to have to fire after you.
Okay.
And the ATST comes back to life this turn.
Right. Okay.
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 So go ahead and make a gunnery check. However, you are being assisted by Narumno.
Yeah.
And Narumno is a gunnery check.
Yeah.
So
I believe Sam may have rolled forward 6.
Yeah, 6.
That's correct. Yeah. You are going to add to what is your gunnery skill? It's your agility, right? Because you only have an agility 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to roll you're going to roll 3 yellow.
Okay. 1,
3.
3 from Narumno?
Your dice pool is 3 yellow dice.
Okay.
Plus whatever advantages that Elias just gave you.
Okay. And I would like Ox Crew.
Ox Crew boost. Okay. And from the Ox Crew, you are going to get thank you, D-Man1701. Gain that Ox Crew die.
And I would also like to take the maneuver of true aim.
Okay.
I gain the benefit of aiming and upgrade combat check once. an upgrade combat check is what it says.
All right. So you're going to upgrade a combat check. So you're going to
Yes.
gain an additional green die.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and make your roll.
What is the difficulty I'm adding?
So you are at, what is the range on this thing? You are actually rolling a difficulty 2. It's at medium range. Oh no, I'm gonna no because you are a silhouette 1 firing at a silhouette 3.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna gain 2 additional blue dice, and you are at medium range. However, the ATST is disabled, so it is going to only have a single. It's a difficulty 1 check to shoot the thing.
Okay.
So 1 purple die.
As Naroom knows behind me, aiming, and I kneel into place and I just say, scalpel, incision ready, and fire.
Spiraling column of smoke, 3, 6, 11 advantages means you can spend up and crit. This thing's crit value is... What is the crit value on this weapon? Let me look.
I would like to crit as many times as you'll let me. I unleash hell knowing I get 1 chance at this, and then I'm probably shot down.
Ready 3 HP. Oh my god, the critical is 2. Oh, the critical on this is 2. It has breach 2, cumbersome 3, limited ammo, but it has vicious 3. You're gonna crit 2, 4, 6, 8, 5 times. So I'm gonna have you roll 2d10 and add 50 to what you roll.
Okay.
You can do that on the dice roller here.
Oh, I can.
So, so click. So you'll see that D20, little D20 symbol. It looks like a little
polyhedral on the right side of the dice pool of the dice box.
Click that, and it'll take you to normal dice.
Okay,
and you just
2d10.
The 10, and then the 00 dice, and roll those percentage dice. And tell me what you get. It'll show me what you get.
Oh wait, sorry. I'm rolling the both percentiles.
You roll you roll the D10, and then you roll the 00 dice.
Got it.
And then click roll. Oh my god. 94 plus 50. You could not have rolled any better on that. Wow. Yeah, that comes out to 144, which is...
I aimed where there was no armor to make this sweet little chicken still agile and able to walk. Its joints, its servos, its circuitry is exposed to me.
Stucky's listening in like, oh, jeez.
I was going to do a stupid thing, but the thing is gone. What did you do?
That is going to... So how much damage is that total? Let's see. It does. And breaching. So there's a spiral of smoke as this missile explodes out of the barrel. And just... there is a deafening explosion as it smashes into the side of the ATST. You don't... Like, it slams right into the right side turret that was firing all of the gassed grenades. There's a detonation. As the ATST is coming back online, it stumbles to the right and barely sways on its side. But when the firing smoke clears, there is a hole torn right into the side of this thing that is completely ruptured and exposed to the gunners on the inside. Whoever was in the seat on the left side of that ATST simply isn't there anymore. The inside of the ATST is on fire. It is still standing, and it kind of wobbles a little bit. Make me a gunnery check, if you would, please, Lon.
All right, gunnery check. I have 2 rolled forward from myself out of the 4.
And there's one odd out from those 10 for crit.
Yep.
Do I have an extra roll forward from...
Yeah, roll forward to you.
And then I'll take another while I'm at it?
Okay, one sec. Okay, so from Ox Crew, you were going to get. Thank you, Reverse Aquamath.
What is my difficulty?
The difficulty is 1.
All right.
And you're but you are firing. Yeah, there's no boost or anything else like that. Go ahead and all you have to do is hit this thing and it ends its life. Just hit it. That'll do it. The top part of the ATST is torn off from the explosion as you capitalize on MT's tenderizing of this thing into oblivion. The explosion of your shot and MT's shot, there is a single leg that collapses to the concrete floor of this city as the rest of the AT becomes scrap and explodes. And the squad opens fire on MT. They're at short range.
I would like to use my dodge action.
You get a dodge action?
I do. I have a dodge act. It's a reaction to being targeted by combat check.
Okay.
I will suffer a number of strain no greater than the rank of my dodge, which is only 1, and I upgrade the difficulty of your check by 1.
Okay. Okay. Then that is going to. Okay, and that's going to turn that purple into. Actually, it's 2, so that would be a purple and a red. Okay. I'm rolling to hit you. Oh. 6 successes and a triumph. I'm going to trigger a critical hit.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'm rolling on the crit table here. Oh boy. Let me roll and see what I do. Oh, frack. I roll a 92. Oh my goodness.
Droid for droid, baby.
As your heroic moments, MT, as you take to the bridge and open fire on that ATST, the explosion is followed by a hail of blaster fire. Target suffers 1 strain each time you perform an action. So,
okay,
but you're also taking damage.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yep, you're okay.
You're taking before your soak, you are taking 15 points of damage.
I am okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am taking 11 points of damage.
Blaster fire peppers your body, superheating your chassis and blowing pieces of your torso off. Narumno behind you is covered from the worst of it. You see a few of the blaster shots hit Narumno, but Narumno is not going to get critted or stormed fired because of you. The fire causes you to stumble backwards as you drop the rocket launcher, and you can hear the Wookiee screaming, "We have to go! We have to go!" Take another point of strain because of the from the crit if you didn't take it yet.
I did.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
You stumble backwards as you get system alerts all over, indicating that you are in peril right now. Your system is close to failure as the blaster bolts just pepper your body. You have to retreat or you're going to be killed next turn.
I have done my mission.
You are seeing this all in the display. Myth, make me a computer sensors check. And then we're going to do a round of squadron combat.
What is the difficulty?
The difficulty is 2.
Okay, and might I have a boost? I'll just use my boost die, my floating boost die.
Okay.
2 successes, 4 advantages.
Okay. The rock skipper arrives, as does the vagabond, as does the bulwark. 3 rebel capital ships jump out of hyperspace. You see the rock skipper Nebulon B frigate, The Vagabond, which strikes you as familiar, that is Narumno's ship, a Corellian Corvette class frigate that has also jumped out of hyperspace. The Star Cruiser Bulwark is a capital ship and can stand up to an Imperial Star Destroyer. It is currently the heaviest starship the Rebellion has in its arsenal at the moment. And all three come out of hyperspace, and you can see they too are launching squadrons and engaging. You hear over the comms the sweetest sound you have heard in a long time. You hear, "This is a Star Cruiser Bulwark. Get your people out of there. We'll hold off the Imperials as long as we can."
And Myth will come over the comms. Ember Squadron, you heard them. Make a tactical retreat. It's time to go home.
Stucky, all of this is happening while you and your 3 fighters are currently dancing with 5 ties. So I'm going to make a squadron roll as you are in a dogfight for your life right now. Go ahead and do me a favor and roll a piloting check for me.
Okie dokie.
And the difficulty of this is going to be upgrade one of your dice by 1.
Okie dokie.
And the difficulty of this is going to be 2 reds and 2 purples.
And I'll use an auxiliary.
Auxiliary crew.
Was there any rollover?
I
Looks
I
like
had
4.
4 advantages, so yeah, you can take those.
I mean, I also had some, but I think they probably didn't get used. So,
all right. Here we go. Yeah.
2 successes, 4 advantages, 3 rebels, 3 fighters. Your evasive squadron formation is keeping y'all alive. Stucky, there's just too many of them. It's hard to get behind any of them. Y'all are fighting defensively, but you're using an old tactic where when one gets on the other one's tail, the other one weaves between the 2 of them and breaks off into an evasive maneuver. You are fighting defensively at this point. However, 2 of the TIE fighters break off and begin to head skyward.
I'm actually going to. I would like to use a very particular tactic that I've been saving.
What are you doing?
I'm going to give them the old. In this, where are we at here? Oh yes, I'm going to give them the old Corellian send-off here.
Okay.
And the plan was I'm wanted to use myself as bait so that they follow me, and I have to make a cool check, and if I do, I cause a major collision between them and another vehicle of my choice. It was going to be the AT-AT, but now I'm just going to have them hit each other.
ATSD, yeah.
Okay,
cool.
AT-ST. Okay, dokie. So here we
make your check. What's the difficulty of that? Does it give you one?
It is. It says it's on page 32 of Stay on Target.
I love it.
It says, when piloting a starship or vehicle, the character may take a Corellian send-off action targeting 2 enemy starships or vehicles at close range that are both equal or smaller silhouette to that character's ship. The character makes a hard cool check. If it succeeds, the target ship immediately suffers a major collision instead of a minor one.
Okay.
Alrighty. So it's time to be.
You have to make a cool check, you said.
Yes.
All right. Let me look at my squadron here. Okay, go ahead.
And for me to use my own advantages, it's 2 for 1, right? All right. So I'm going to use 2, and then like to use auxiliary.
All right. Make your roll.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. I'm going to give you 2 system strain.
Okay.
Let's see if this TIE pilot, let's see how good they are.
And I'm going to take that strain on personally.
Okay.
And then I would like, I don't have any.
Doesn't feel a thing.
Yep.
Okay. So then let me make their piloting. It's their cool check. It's not a piloting check. It's a cool check.
Yeah. Gotta be cool.
You evil bastard. It's their cool check. Oh, that's good. Okay. So, oh no. Okay. making their cool check now. And it's just it's against you, right? They have to beat you.
Let's see.
Versus your
the
cool check versus cool check.
Yeah, the character
right?
makes a hard cool check.
Yep, which you did. Okay. So I'm gonna roll their cool.
The targeted ships immediately suffer a major collision with each other.
Oh, they I don't have to roll, they just suffer a major collision.
Yeah, because I made the check. It's just
Stucky, you have been dancing around with these guys for the past 15 minutes as combat has just been a bloody instance down the battle. The rebellion is taking heavy damage. This last hour and a half of combat has cost the rebellion, and you've been flying defensively this entire time, watching the world spin around you. Every time you get somebody in your target lock, you have to break free just as a tie pulls in behind you to go for their target locks. It has been a desperate battle. The Y-Wings are barely staying ahead. Every now and then you hear one of them shout, I'm hit, it's not bad, it's not bad. And you spin back around. Some of them are leaving smoke trails, but Stucky, the battle is going against you, and you can start feeling it going against you. You guys can't keep this up forever, but you need to keep delaying them, because in just a moment, now that the rebellion is here, the transports are going to start taking off. Everyone is going to be called to withdraw. Everyone is scrambling to the transports. And that's when you decide to pull your maneuver.
Yep.
You basically play a game of chicken with one of the TIE fighters coming straight at it as one jumps down onto your tail. And at the last possible second, you bank off down and just fly to the right. Both TIEs expertly attempt to follow you, realizing they've both tried the same maneuver at the same time. And in the swarm that is taking place, both of their panels collide and a ball of fire erupts as you take out two of the TIEs, immediately changing the tide of the battle. It is now 3 against 2.
I just call Myth. Myth, how's Ember? Are they holding on? I'm almost done.
We've taken down the walker. We're retreating back to base.
I don't care about that. I care about how the team is.
Everyone seems to be accounted for.
And still no word?
I told you you'd be the first to know.
Cut to Elias. You are pushing yourself through the front doors of the lobby of the hotel, of this office building, as you've made it down to the bottom. The base is on high alert, and you can hear the alarms going off. It sounds like an air raid alarm, and everyone is scrambling. But you also see what looks like about 15 stormtroopers coming in your direction, running towards the building that you're in.
Tillo, can you come get me?
Stucky, make a perception check.
All right, let's go.
Any rollover, anything?
Nope, but I will use I will use another auxiliary squad.
Another auxiliary.
Mm-hmm.
The difficulty. Difficulty is going to be 3. This is going to be from Lofuir. Difficulty 3 successes. You remember that moment in Empire Strikes Back where Leia thinks that she's hearing Luke? It's that sort of moment where through the static on your comms, your senses ignite, Stucky, as you hear the weak voice coming through of static. It's Elias. You hear them weakly saying, Tillo, can you come get me? And you see their signal ping.
The X-Wing flips and he just goes, coming, kid. Immediate thrusters. I don't care if anybody's behind. Actually, I would like to use one more maneuver.
Keep in mind, you have no room in the cockpit for another person.
Oh yeah, I'm not concerned about that. I
Okay.
know who's picking Elias up. I'm providing the cover fire.
Okay.
But just to shake off anybody on me, I would like to use my last maneuver, which is the Kyogrin turn. When the character is piloting a starship or vehicle on which an opponent has gained the advantage, the character may suffer 2 strain to perform a Kyogin turn maneuver, immediately removing the effects of gain the advantage any opponents have on the character's starship. This can only be performed if a starship or vehicle has a speed of 4 or more. So
That's
as much as he loves this X-Wing, he is putting it through its paces.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So wherever Elias is, that X-Wing is gonna be there fast.
Okay. The afterburners ignite on the end of the X-Wing. I'm guessing you're sending the Y-Wing as well.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep. Immediately.
I'm going to make another warfare check. The last one. I'm going to alter this check by a couple of factors. First of all, the Imperial commander had a blaster bolt put through his face. That's going to dramatically affect the course of the battle. But also because of the victories you all scored, I'm going to give you all a bonus die to the roll. So,
Is this
The
our
object-
battlefield where
Yeah.
me and Lon are? Can I?
this is no, it's
Oh,
the
just
mass
everything?
combat roll.
Got
It's
it.
to find out how it all goes. And then once we roll it, you can tell me how it translates over. But this is
Great.
gonna be the last one for the Battle of Vetriss. This is the final one. It has been a give and take. You guys were doing well, and then you had a really bad round, and now the rebellion is bleeding, and you guys are fighting on the defensive. Above the planet, a capital ship battle between corvettes and the Nebulon B frigate and a cap ship are going up against an Imperial Star Destroyer, which has launched all of its fighter squadrons. There is a massive space battle taking place above the planet of Vetriss right now. They are delaying as much as they possibly can. This is going to be the deciding factor of how the battle is resolved based on how it's gone. So I'm going to spend a dark side point. However, I'm going to allow the expenditure of a light side point for this as well.
Yes, please.
All right, so that's going to balance it out. So
There's literally a Jedi on the field who'd be remiss if we didn't.
So this is going to be, I spent a dark side point to upgrade that. The difficulty is going to be, let's see, 3. Nope, it's going to be 2. 2 setback. And yeah, this is the Empire rolling against you guys. So, all right, let's see how they managed. And I'm rolling.
Ooh.
The Empire scores a success and a threat. Here's how the battle plays out, Ember Squad. In the final hour of the Battle of Vetriss, it is a bloody withdrawal. I'm going to roll on a... I'm going to roll a leadership. Actually, Myth, make me a leadership check roll and add a single yellow die to the check.
Okay.
The difficulty of this is going to be 4.
Use up that ox crew.
I would love to use another ox crew,
Let's see if Ox Crew can stem me the bleeding here.
Light side?
and I would love to use a light side point as I
Okay,
can.
Vance, thank you for that Ox Crew boost. Go ahead and spend that light side point.
So the light side upgrades one of the ability checks to another yellow, correct?
Correct. It upgrades a green die to a yellow die.
All right. Two successes.
Okay.
Vicious.
So here's the thing. The threat that I rolled on that is going to actually activate The fog of war creates confusion on the battlefield here, which is perfect. That's one threat against the Empire. The fog of war creating confusion on the battlefield. Here's what happens. I'm going to roll a couple of things real quick. This is going to be for... Okay, remember this roll. This is for you, Lon. Okay, and this is for... Ooh, not so good.
You didn't say who that one was for.
It was for Gran. Here's how it happens. You manage to reconnect with Gran, Lon. And if you can picture this like a cinematic moment where the music is playing over the chaos of the battlefield, Ember Squad is in full retreat. You guys are running past the bodies of fallen rebel soldiers that you cannot stop to take with you. The streets are just littered with stormtroopers and debris and rebels. As you're all fighting through it, you reconnect with MT, who is in shambles, has been shot to hell. You can see sparks flying out of her servos. She's moving okay, but you can see that each time she moves, it's grinding down her servos, which means she's going to take a point of strain every time she attempts to even do anything because of the critical hit, and there's no time to repair her. You guys move out in a full-on withdrawal. You get about 3 city blocks when you and Gran start coughing up blood, having to run through a cloud of toxic mist that was still scattering out from the area. You did not have gas masks in place, and the two of you are starting to feel a little weakened, and it's harder and harder to get away. That's when you notice that MT runs out of strain from the critical hit. Sparks flying, and she stops right where she is. You see Tillo start screaming, "Come on, come on!" And MT can't move. You see laying down covering fire behind you guys. Narumno tosses her E-web to the ground and grabs MT and just hefts the droid up onto her shoulder, returning the favor, and starts running as fast as the Wookiee can. Y'all are all in a mad dash retreat. As that is happening, Elias, you are in a haze right now. You hear loud noises. Your cheek is pressed up against the cold marbled floor of a lobby, but you can feel the blazing heat of laser fire over your head. You think you see the image of a figure in front of you in a blazing golden saber, weaving, moving, ducking. You hear blaster fire, then an eruption of heat as a Y-wing, could you be hallucinating, touches down just outside, taking heavy blaster fire. An X-wing roars overhead, strafing the Imperial base. Anti-air turrets immediately fire on the X-wing. They soar up and rocket off into the sky as the X-wing deftly dodges and weaves. The next thing you know, you're being pulled up off of the ground. The pain starts snapping you back into your senses, but still everything feels muffled and blurred, and then you lose consciousness. The withdrawal from the world of Vetriss costs the rebellion. Against all odds, you stood your ground and held as far as you can. You did far more than was expected of you. The odds were against you from the beginning. But you get at least one transport away. One transport is not going to make it. I am now going to roll to find out which transport that was. I have to warn you, Myth is on one of those transports.
Can I offer something stupid?
If you want to.
I'd like to use a light side point.
Okay.
To give the transport a better chance of getting out of here in exchange for Stucky. he would try and get them out.
Unfortunately, we cannot accept that expenditure of light side points at this time.
Stucky, There are TIE bombers equipped with proton torpedoes headed towards the planet. You can see the squadron of them. And right now, unfortunately, just holding off the power of that Imperial Star Destroyer is all that is holding back the transports from being able to escape. You look at your 3 squadron fighters, and as you kind of glance out your cockpit window, as you see the blue bleeding away into the black coldness in the space, and you see the TIE bombers with their TIE fighter escort coming in on the 2 transports, you realize it's only you between them and a jump to hyperspace. They need more time. You glance over and you see the Y-Wing and the X-Wings pull up next to you, and the one Scrap 2 says, "We're with you all the way, Scrap 1.
Let's go be big dumb heroes.
You kick in the afterburners, and the 3 fighters charge the 8 TIE fighters. 4 bombers, 4 fighters. A blind fire of just a proton torpedo comes out of the Y-Wing. On board the transports, Myth, you're watching as you see exactly what Stucky is doing. The 2 transports have lifted off, and your commander immediately, she comes over, and you can hear through the intercoms, Captain Jensen Vem is saying, "All craft, prepare to retreat. We're jumping to hyperspace."
Stucky, get out of there now.
The math is simple on this one, Myth. You're smarter than me, and you should know that.
I am not reading that goddamn note. Get out of there now.
Look, Elias is gonna be pissed. Sorry. And just tell MT, best damn coworker I ever had. And jeez, this yeah, Lon, take care of the poor judgment. All right, I'm gonna be busy. Talk to you later.
And he goes to static. You hear Stucky say, "I'm going to be busy." And you hear white noise coming across the comms as you see the engines powering up. Your transport jumps to hyperspace. The second transport, which you have decided to spend everything for, Stucky, as you fly into the swarm, the one thing you see that you can't help put a grin on your face is that last transport flanked by a Y-Wing, flanked by the poor judgment, leaping to hyperspace.
Didn't get them this time, Empire.
This time, Stucky, your family got away. It's 3 days since you all escaped from Vetriss. The fleet has arrived in the Hoth system, where a new rebel base has been erected here, far away from the eyes of the Empire. Apparently, stories like Vetriss have been popular among the rebellion. The Empire's dogged chase of the rebellion since the destruction of the Death Star has chased everyone into the Outer Rim. The rebellion is licking its wounds. And the great victory that was won at Yavin has almost been completely erased by how staggering the defeats have been across the line as the rebellion pushes back. But what is not breakable is how not a single person at Echo Base that you meet is rattled or dismayed. Everyone that you meet at the hangars has stories of loss. Stories of people who gave everything to make sure that they could escape. It's a cold afternoon. Each of you is about 50 or so feet outside from the main hangar doors of Echo Base. It's beautiful here. A barren landscape, just fields of ice everywhere you look, but the sun shines bright. No clouds in the sky, the glow of the white ice and snow reflecting all around you. And Tillo, who has what looks like little bitty nubbed spikes on his wheels in the snow, is next to the two of you, next to all of you. And you're all out here together in the snow. The Poor Judgment is in the hangar about 200 meters behind you guys. You can see it from where you are. This has been a ritual that's been happening for everybody. But you're all gathered here for a moment. The first time you all have been able to reunite since the Battle of Vetriss. Each of you standing here. Elias, the pain still in your chest from the blaster shot, but the Bacta has done its job. MT, the chassis replacement, is more uniform. And in fact, you actually bear a rebel rank on the upper part of the chest of the chassis of lieutenant. Everyone here has been ranked up. Everyone here has been acknowledged for the heroics that you have all pulled. And each of you here is watching as you see Tillo extend his hand, and you see a pair of dog tags that he had specially made in his hand. And he just looks, says, so we're here today to just remember a friend who finally got to fly his starfighter. I didn't know Stucky that well, just that he got nervous around droids and liked to talk a lot of shit when he got into the pilot seat. But I'll tell you this much. People are going to be telling stories about how one stuck-up fighter pilot took out 3 TIEs with a single torpedo shot. They're going to be telling stories about the one fighter pilot who led his squadron of 3 into a swarm to save 3,000 soldiers. He was he was a good friend and a good pilot. We wouldn't have made it without him. Silence falls over the group as you all the wind kicking up around you. But anybody wants to say anything?
Myth will pull out the note.
And pull out a note Stucky gave you.
He's supposed to be here to read it. Because I told him he had to read it himself. But until he does, I suppose it can't hurt. I'll open it up.
Noir, what did Stucky write?
It's not a lot, actually. It just says, I wrote this because I got the heebie-jeebies the night before. That sucked. If you're reading this, then I did a good job and I saved someone. Don't be sad. Get angry. Embers spark fires. Burn these motherfuckers to the ground.
Myth finishes reading the note to everybody.
Fold it and I'll put it back in my pocket. Well, Ember Squadron, is it time to get back to work?
Am I flying now?
Tillo puts his hand on your shoulder and says, can you think of anybody else Stucky would want in that pilot seat?
And it's time to take back the skies.
I would be honored to be your co-pilot, friend.
Guess I need to learn a little bit of astrogation myself.
Nah, Myth. You're in gunnery now.
Oh, God. And Myth will just start walking.
Tillo looks down at the dog tags and everybody else before he turns to follow and says, form up in burst squad. Let's go start some fires.
Myth takes the dog tags and puts them around her neck.
Makes a small clinking sound. And then
They belong in the pilot seat.
Always.
Ember Squad advances back into the hangar. A lot of work to still be done. A war to win. A lot more that need help. And as we pull away from the icy horizon of Hoth, that is where we end season 1 of Ember Squad.
Emotions.
Everybody gain 20 XP.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
I'll see you all next season with Bucky.
Yup. That's gonna do it for us here, y'all. Thank you all so much. We ran way late tonight. Thank you so much to my players for going late. It was worth it. It was a hell of a story, a hell of a finish. You guys have had success after success after success, and this was a bloody, drawn-out, just devastating fight. I would like to point out that not a single time did we need to use the standard combat rules to have a dramatic, amazing battle. Using mass combat and improvised checks on accomplishing the tasks that y'all wanted to do, and it told this would have been a movie I would have watched in theaters easily. Y'all had your Empire Strikes Back moment tonight, but it ends on a note of hope. Ember Squad will be coming back, so definitely keep your eyes to the skies. Thank you so much to every Aux crew member who supported the Ember Squad with all of those boost dice. You literally changed the course of the narrative for this squad. This squad that started off as a ragtag bunch who were just given a brick to go fly and spy on the Imperials. They have now become the movers and the shakers, an elite squad inside the rebellion. I look forward to catching up with Ember Squad when we join them again in season 2. What will be going on by then? Will the Battle of Hoth already have happened? And where will we be? Only one way to find out. Tune in when it happens. Thank you so much for watching us tonight. Take care of yourselves, and may the Force be with you.